Welcome to the Sci-Fi Center, the place to be, where comic books and wrestling collide magically. Movies, TV shows, and pop culture we share. Get ready to rock, we're here to take you there. From superheroes to aliens in outer space, we've got the latest news and reviews in our embrace. Turn on your screen, let the neon lights glow. We'll take you back to the 80s. Let's rock and roll. Sci-Fi Center, where the legends come alive. Get ready to geek out, let your imagination fly. We're diving into the past with a touch of modern flair. Sci-Fi Center, the ultimate pop culture lair.
Welcome to Saturday night. Thank you for those who are returning from our Predators screening earlier this afternoon. Gave you a small break, did my Troma event, which just wrapped up, and now it is back to business as usual. Topics today will be the influence of DC New Frontiers on James Gunn's DCU. We will watch both the Thunderbolts and the Captain America New World Order trailer. We will spoiler review, Absolute Superman #1. So I will put up the spoiler banner up before we talk about that. What else? We are going to go over the life and career of Tony Todd, who just passed away recently at the age of 69 from cancer. And that's about it. Then we might open up the circus to the rest of the clowns, so you guys, and go from there. Kind of tired today, a little bit out of energy. So like I said, I've been running nonstop since Halloween. So it's probably going to take after tomorrow, after we're done with the Batman. Tomorrow night, we are doing along with our Penguin finale that will air tomorrow night. Prior to that, we will be doing a watch along for the Batman. It's, everybody's been wanting, why can't we do Batman? Why can't we do the Batman? Even though you don't need the Batman to understand Penguin, why not? I mean, it'll be kind of cool to see that movie again. You don't be Mr. Understood, though. You do not need the Batman to understand the Penguin, and you don't need the Penguin to understand the Batman. You really don't. I've had people who have not seen the Batman enjoy Penguin just fine. But you know what? We got the time, so we'll do it tomorrow. Monday night, it'll be kind of like an autopilot because we're going to do for Chappie, who sent in a contribution quite about a couple months ago. We're going to be doing Hellboy, the remake, which was an ill-advised remake that, despite whatever quality you might think about it, should have never been made. It was doomed, and it got destroyed in the theater. So, hey, hold on. Let me type this. Let's see. All right. So let's go ahead and say hi to. Wow, you guys got started quick. All right, Anthony. I don't know where Brad is, by the way, for those of you about to ask me. Hey, William, did you see that Matt Reeves is going to do a TV show in his Gotham universe with a version of the Joker? I've heard rumors of it, but some of those rumors have been debunked, but not completely debunked. I do think you're going to see a show. I don't know if it's going to be that. I do believe he will be the villain in the third Batman film. That's just a gut. How you doing, Aaron?
Aaron?
Let's see. Daryl Taylor, William finally got copies of Absolute Wonder Woman and Superman today. Also, a new trailer for We'll be going over Absolute Superman. We'll be watching both trailers. David Zazoff says, which means there's lying involved. William David Zazoff says Donald Trump's reelection.
I just had to Google that part about Michael J. White, by the way, just to, you give me a little scare there, man. Don't do that.
Not really. Donald Trump's no president's going to have an effect on that. If any Congress would have an effect on that, and if Congress tried to deregulate that, they're going to get sued. They're going to get sued by other companies, and it's going to be held up in court for a while. So if you would have you'd have to change antitrust laws, and there's just too many companies that are going to fight you on that. You'll have an unlimited legal fund going against you from labor unions, other companies. They will unite, and they won't do it. I mean, the deal, if there was a merger or anything like that that's going to go through, it wouldn't matter who the president is, because the precedent's already set. If you let Disney buy Fox, the precedent would pave the way for it. So if it was going to happen, it's going to happen regardless to who's in the White House. And to be quite honest with you, it's going to happen it's going to happen regardless to who's running Congress, simply because nobody's going to be the one to stand up and say no to something they may want to do down the line. So if you're involved in nixing a merger or something like that, and it comes time that you need one, that shit's not forgotten, and people will stand in your way. So these things generally, unless they completely violate monopoly laws, but like I said, if it got to that point, you would have too many people filing lawsuits, and like I said, it would be tied up for like the next 2 to 4 years if anybody had any real objections. If it comes down to a merger like that, I don't think anybody's going to care because it wouldn't be a monopoly. You still have places to go. There's still separate entities that run studios and things like that. So I don't know what he meant by that. But once again, if David Zazoff is talking, there's a good chance you probably get more information by just not listening to him, because he's going to tell people what he thinks they need to hear. The guy either tells a version of the truth that's confusing, or he just outright lies. So yeah. Hello, Droga, Music Man. Yes, R.I.P. Tony Todd.
Yes, that's one of the topics tonight.
Yeah.
So I can't believe that. It's just like, man, he's just like a month away from 70. But really, like, looking at some pictures of him recently, he was looking a little bit frail. He was looking like, I guess his cancer diagnosis wasn't public knowledge.
No, it was. Most people don't. You notice that?
Most that's perfectly fair.
Hold on for a second. I didn't mind answering that question, but the admin was supposed to ban a particular word that should have prevented that question from coming up. So I'll make sure. In fact, hold on. Let me, because I really don't want to see that certain names popping up on my feed, because it's just going to cause problems. Let's see. Someone was able to take. Okay, that should fix that. All right. And again, it will be Warner Brothers that be sold. Don't nobody give a shit. Wow, I got the grabber. No, if it's sold, they're not going to spin off. They're not going to. If it's sold, it'll be Warner Brothers Discovery that's sold. There's no value. There's no value in either one of them anymore as a separate entity.
And their stock went down again, by the way. It's still over $9, but it was like $9.38 or something the other day. Now it's $9.18. Like you said, they had a spike from some of that the Olympics. So it's like, okay, yeah, you get that again in like 4 years.
Yeah, and like I said, spikes aren't going to do you. You know. Somebody's doing my mariachi outside. Wow, what a weird week. Sorry, I'm just fixing the band terms list. All right, so yeah, I just don't know where the money is, and they need a merger. No, there's
Yeah.
nothing, there's no monopoly that Warner Brothers is gonna. If Microsoft or Amazon were to buy them, okay, so you're saying that two studios would exist under one umbrella. They already have that now with Disney and Fox, and there's still plenty of other workplaces. You have A24.
Yeah.
You have Blumhouse, you have Universal, you still have enough workplace. So nobody's going to get away in that merger because you've already let it happen with a much larger and much more profitable company. So I don't see anybody getting in the way of it. I just don't see it. The only problem right now is, like I said, it's just not worth anything. The biggest problem you have right now is like I said, if somebody really wanted to merge with Warner Brothers, it would have happened already. If somebody really wanted to purchase Warner Brothers, they could have done it already. Both Amazon, Microsoft, Apple could all buy them in a heartbeat. But those companies have already looked at the company, and there's nothing there for them. There's nothing in those. They don't consider those IPs to be worth enough to offset the debt. And even if you have $1 trillion, you don't want to blow $49 billion. That's just going to disappear right off the top. So, the fact that it hasn't happened already tells me that people are the company just doesn't have the value right now. Somebody's literally had some mariachi. It's too cold out here to be doing mariachi outside. Good Lord, guys.
Oh, is it cold out there finally?
Yeah, it's cold. It's about 6, not even cold, but about 50 degrees, which is, like I said, we hung in.
It's been unseasonably warm for early November here. But I'm looking at the weather. Like, fortunately, it's going to start to get down to the 50s for us by about mid to late next week.
They would never listen. They will never sell DC. They will never completely sell DC IPs. The moment you do that, you take a huge value away from Warner Brothers, and nobody now you have a company that's pretty much worthless. So no, they are never going to sell those IPs. If Warner
might
Brothers
license them,
that's still belonging to them, but they are never going to split up things like that. It would be like them selling HBO. They're not going to do it because there's certain amounts of value that those entities make up for Warner Brothers. And if I'm a stockholder, I would vote that down. There's no way I would allow you to do that.
To kind of play devil's advocate, though, on this idea, though, them selling is there an argument to be made in your mind that if there was an argument, would it be that that Warner Bros. Just mishandled DC so badly on their own? They're just going to
None.
We can. You don't think so? Okay.
None.
Because that's the only argument I could see.
That's an argument that would get you escorted out of the building, simple because you're using someone else's failures and assuming that whoever would want to take it on, whoever would want to purchase, buy, or become board member or back you're assuming that person's as big an idiot as the person. The guy who's coming in always thinks he's better than the guy he's replacing. So any talk like that would literally, you would not get invited back to those meetings again. So no, just because something's been mismanaged by somebody else doesn't mean the next guy thinks that. He thinks that he's got all the ideas. That's why
he's going to be the guy to fix it all. Yeah.
Everybody thinks that. And there's a reason why you're purchasing the company. You're probably going to be able to do a better job than the last guy in most cases. So yeah, most people are going to look at it for the commodity that it is, and they're just going to go by that. You've had all kinds of IPs that have been ran into the ground. And
when you talk about DC has 80 years of history behind it, so it's like even if they're like a rough patch cinematically, it's still in terms like the value of it in its totality, it's like that against like its total history. Yeah, that's not enough to like devalue it in an absolute sense.
What have you done for me lately? That's how execs are going to think, and that's how the audience is going to think. Hold on. Bring that back. William, Alphabet, parent company of Google, could buy WBD and just put all HBO Max DC on content YouTube. They could. That would devalue it though, because you wouldn't make as much money as you would with the subscription service and the guaranteed revenue. So, but they could if they wanted to. Yeah, there's nothing. If they did it, there would be nothing stopping them. I think that, but it's not worth it for them though. That's the thing. And they've like I said, none of these companies are new. None of these companies are new. They're all looking. They've all had their eyes on these. They've all had opportunities to do exactly what you guys are saying, and nobody's done it. So I'm thinking that there's something there that we're not seeing, something there that that we are not comprehending, maybe, but that's not above board knowledge. That's saying don't stay away from the company for right now. Now that could be the fact that why would I pay if I know the stock is not bottomed out? Why would I pay more than I have to? If the stock is at what is it today?
It's at $9.18, which is the highest it's been like all year.
So why? If I
said
know
it's probably from that spike from the Olympics.
Yeah, if I know that price may go down, why would I pay more? Because not only am I paying that, I'm assuming the debt.
The debt, yeah.
So why would I do that? So yeah, right now I just don't see it.
Is there any other reason, like other than them just like saying let's wait for the stock to get like to the ideal let's wait to get to its cheapest point before we actually break out our wallets for this? Is there any other reason why they would be holding off any other company buying it? Good.
Nobody who can afford it needs it.
Okay.
All the companies that could afford it either have the apparatus to do their own thing. Without Apple, literally can create a studio. Netflix has a studio. They are a studio. They own studios. Amazon has studios. They have MGB. Universal's Comcast. Everything Warner Brothers has. The only thing that Warner Brothers has that most of those companies that can afford them don't have is the specific IPs. And right now, those IPs don't have the worth that they could or should. And you would have the amount of investment that So you're talking about purchasing a company for IPs that aren't worth as much as they should be, assuming nearly $30 to $49 billion in debt, and then having to spend the money to invest in rebreath. That's a lot of money right off the top. Before you make $1 back, you have to make billions of dollars in investment, and you're paying probably more than it should be for the stock. So the math just doesn't work at the moment.
Yeah, because that's what I've been wondering.
Drop to $5, then then make a move. But
yeah, that's what I've been wondering. It's like other than them wanting it to get the most kind of a discount for it, like what could be any other and there's been so much talk about another merger. So I mean, we both said we think the writing's on the wall for that. But like, what could be other than them waiting for it to get to the cheapest price? What would be their reason for holding off?
For who holding off? What?
For Amazon or anybody else?
They don't need it.
Okay.
They don't need it. Amazon has. They don't need to purchase a studio. They have everything they need to. And Warner Brothers distribution maybe doesn't mean anything because they're not into the theatrical distribution. See, Warner Brothers not only owns their IPs, they're the distributors as well. So everybody generally has to come to them. But with Amazon has Universal for that. If they need distribution, they have Universal. I mean, not Universal, but they have MGM.
MGM, yeah.
Yeah.
Comcast has Universal.
Comcast has Universal. Comcast has their own, they don't need to purchase them. They have their own studio, and then they have their own distribution. Mm-hmm. So right now, it has to be worth it for somebody. And like I said, the only thing I can think is that it would need to be at a price that's like, okay, I can't resist this. So not only does the price have to be lowered, you got to have to understand that, you're assuming all that debt. That debt comes with them. Yeah. That debt comes. You're paying off that debt.
I think Aaron's kind of asking some people in the chat more than us, but yes, that topic is in perpetuity banned.
Yeah, I don't know how. I just emailed my main mod. I don't know how that name got through. There's a list of names that are banned because obviously they will lead the conversations.
The way I put it, we're the Continental and no business conducted here. We are here to bring fun and pleasantness into the world, and not consternation about the real world events.
Yeah, so. and that's as much for me as anybody else. I need a fucking place to go.
Oh yeah, me too.
So I don't have the collapsing weight of everything that's going on, not just politically, but just in general. Dude, the fucking just getting through life in general is hard. So I need a place to go to do it. So I know you guys need it. So yeah. I think the new WWE US title could have gone old school NWA route. I think so. That US title is ugly. Both men's and women's US belts are ugly. And this is coming from somebody who purchases belts. So when I tell you a belt's ugly and I wouldn't drop anything on it, to me it's ugly. Let's see. Yes, open panel will be tonight. Oh, guys, once again, this applies to the open panel.
Mm-hmm.
Any hard band, you'll know when I'm joking around about a topic. You'll know. You'll hear it in my voice, and you'll understand, and you'll be don't be if we're banning we're talking about how lame Doomsday is. That's a joke.
We're talking about the feral kid stuff.
Yeah,
It's like
we're talking about that kind of nonsense stuff like that. What's a joke? When you'll with a little bit of common sense, you'll understand what the hard band ones are. And like I said, I have the main admin who I don't know if the safeguards are not working, but Vince is there, and Vince has put in safe blocks. And like I said, he has the permission to permanently ban anybody who brings up any of those topics. This is not the place. All right, let's see. Anthony, well, is this a fair comparison? Would you say the absolute universe for DC that they're running is now similar to what Marvel is doing with the current iteration? Well, other than that, it's mirrored characters in an alternate universe. Ultimate Universe was inspired by Elseworlds and DC's alternate universe. So even though Ultimate Universe became a brand in that fashion, DC created the parallel universes with the Tales of Flash.
And with Ultimate Marvel, that also kind of came around in the wake of the first Spider-Man movie, because Marvel kind of got they kind of realized, okay, we're probably gonna get a whole kind of influx of new readers, so let's kind of create like a secondary line of books that people could like a new generation of comic readers can kind of jump on our characters.
Well, yeah, they created it so that you could start collecting Spider-Man without the weight of 5,000 issues of it. But as far as like the Ultimates and everything else that came from it, Samuel L. Jackson being the concept of telling parallel storylines was created by DC Comics. So actually, Ultimates, in my opinion, owes its existence to that. But at the same time, Ultimate established a brand. So in that case, I would say yeah, but in a much different way. Whereas an event happened to create the Ultimate Universe. The MCU universes just exist when somebody wants to make a different decision, a divergent reality. Hold on for a second. I'll be right back.
All right. You guys got me for the time being. The reason I asked is I've been trying to force over just to address that particular. Yeah. Well, again, that one kind of slipped through, but yes, to be clear, politics and the outcomes of recent elections, wherever you may fall on that, this ain't the place. So hard ban topic. Let's see what else you guys got. In 2 years, yes. Rest in peace, Kevin Conroy. I remember listening to Scott from DC Squadcast talk about that. He was legit in tears about it. I mean, he was because he does the fan-animated stream with Film Junkie, about for Batman and Superman. So he obviously really holds Kevin Conroy's portrayal of Batman very close to his heart. So he was definitely that was definitely a day of mourning for Scott. What else you guys got? Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, DC, Game of Thrones, Godzilla, King Kong, Dune, HBO Max, Warner Bros. Games. That's what you get with Warner Brothers. You're talking about IPs, or like some of those are just internal like brands, but yeah, I mean, obviously their biggest IP is DC. Probably Harry Potter, I would say, runs that a fairly close second, and then Lord of the Rings after that. But yeah, that is what you get with when you're getting Warner Bros. But like William said, you also get an ass load of debt for it. So it's like, okay, what you're planning to do with all of this, it better be worth, assuming that debt and, trying to get out of that, because, the merger we have right now with Discovery that has not managed to clean the slate of that debt. A lot of debt to clean, like 47 billion, whatever it is. A lot of debt they got to take on. Let's see. Listen, guys, we've talked on this topic so much. It's like I can't even get my head around the idea. It's like if people who are so dead set on the fact that that fans who want to see this through are never ever going to see. It's like, okay, why do you persist in reminding us of how sure you are of that? If you're so certain it's never going to happen, okay, we're not hurting anybody chasing after that dream ourselves. I mean, my God, it's like it's like people. It's like to me, it's like people seem just. It seems to me some people just seem offended at the idea that fans actually want to see Zack's Justice League franchise completed. Like, why? I don't. If you're offended by consumers wanting something from a corporation and advocating that, and you're dead certain it's never going to happen.
What are you talking about? What happened?
Droga's just Droga.
Oh, I saw that, and I was just going to ignore it because I figured he's just trolling. So
he is. I'm not picking on you specifically, Droga, but a lot of it's just like if you're like I said, I just can't get my head around like the attitude of so many detractors. It just seems like they seem offended that people want this.
Well, it's part of this is a problem. It's become part of their identity.
Yeah, that's true.
One way or another, on both sides, more so the side of the people, the detractors, it has become their way into a conversation that they probably don't belong in.
Yeah, that's true.
Because nobody wants them there. And if you and me are talking about, we want to restore it and what we would do here, we're typing to each other and we're on each other's platforms. I don't need a detractor in that conversation. The only way for them to get into that conversation is to say something silly, and we don't need them in a conversation. That's why, it's like if anybody who wants to do your movement, I think some of them are silly. I think, how I feel about hashtag movements, because I don't think anybody's listening to hashtags anymore. People listen to money. So, but you know what? If you're not kicking me in the head, kicking down my doors, saying "fuck you, William," you're going to support this hashtag. I'm going to put my foot on your thumb. No, do it to your heart's content. So yeah. All right. So let's.
Well, real quick, let me answer this one from Anthony. Brad, as a John Wick fan, do you think that IP can go without kind of repetitive and repeating the same stories? I mean, I think
no. That goes.
Well, yeah, everything has to evolve. I think that's what they're doing, because they've got they had the Continental series, they've got the Ballerina one coming up. That's kind of the spinoff. They have the Kane spinoff in the works with Donnie Yen, and they've really done so much world building on John Wick that they can like take some these other characters or these other areas of the universe and really just kind of branch out from there and like kind of do their own thing with it. So yeah, John Wick, it definitely has a lot of potential to go in a whole number of different directions. I am now. I've kind of gone back and forth on this, since the fourth one came out. I am now pretty certain it's like we are at least going to see a John Wick 5, though. I am very confident in saying we will see John Wick 5. But as far as like anything else within the franchise, within the IP, it's like, yeah, you'll see all kinds of stuff in that, because they've got characters that lend themselves to spin-offs and prequels and side stories. So yeah, they can do all kinds of things with John Wick and not get repetitive.
All right, let's watch this Captain America Brave New World.
Oh yeah, I didn't watch this yet. I saw this drop though, because what they got going on, they got like Disney or D23. What's happening right now?
Yeah, something in Brazil.
Oh no, that's CCXP. Yeah. Oh, well, that's a little bit early. Doesn't that usually happen in December?
No, it's something else. It's something else.
Okay, because I know that's upcoming. That's a big event, and that looks pretty. That looks pretty awesome. I should probably go down. I'd love to go down to Brazil and check that out sometime, because that looks like a pretty fun event.
I've gone back and forth with Film Junkie on his Twitter page because of the picture that they show. They mimicked it from a issue of Captain America where you see the Hulk's fist punching the shield, and they're people are asking why that's possible, because given Hulk's the immense Hulk strength, and they're saying, well, since Sam doesn't have super soldier serum, so how could he deflect that? First of all, it doesn't matter how much super soldier serum would have. There's nothing that's going to, if there was going to be damage, he personally would not be able to repel that. Mm-hmm. The shield and his uniform, the vibranium and adamantium and everything else, has energy, weight, impact, displacement properties so that he can take all kinds of stuff. I mean, he's used it to halt vehicles, and so that his body, it displaces the inertia and everything else, so that his body is never taking that. In the case of Sam, his suit is even more enhanced because he's flying. He has to be that suit. He's going at Mach. If you watch this trailer, he's going so fast. He uses his sonic boom to fuck people up. So now, and Junkie put on there, he has the one picture where it's him holding Thanos' his arm back, and Thanos does have superhuman strength. And then another person posted that point on Captain America where he's holding the helicopter. The MCU does whatever the fuck they want. If you notice, though, for the most part, when you're looking at Captain America, even in MCU, he does not exhibit superhuman strength. Captain America himself, his super soldier serum gives him peak physical performance. He is the top physical specimen that you could possibly be. He does not, however, and this is Steve Englehart fought the editorial staff on this on in the 70s, and he ended up winning out. Like for a couple of issues, Captain America was able to do silly stuff like that, but then it just got forgotten because Steve Englehart, who was writing Captain America at the time, said this is stupid. I
think that's probably where they kind of push it the furthest in the MCU is when he's holding on to the helicopter. That's probably the
and when he's fighting Thanos. When he's fighting Thanos with both hands.
That I don't know. It's like I don't know if I even put.
That's just for emotional response. That's not the actual character of Captain America. Now, John Walker, who was Captain America before he became the U.S. agent, he does have superhuman strength, but his serum is different. In the shows and in some other canon, he takes the version of the super serum potion. Whatever the serum. I'm sorry. But in the comics, he does not get his powers from Steve Rogers, the same one. His is a replicated form by the Power Broker, who is basically a steroid guy, and his does have superhuman strength. So because he improved on it. But Steve Rogers, if you're talking canonical, Steve Rogers does not have superhuman strength. But I thought that was hilarious because but Anthony Mackie, that shield would be able to stop it. That shield, if you look at the properties of Captain America's shield, he's been able to take that shield and legit land. He jumped from a plane and he thousands and thousands of feet in the air, and he used the shield to absorb the impact that would have killed him, serum or not. So that shield is a big deal. So I just thought that was a fun go back and forth on that one. All right, let's get to this thing here.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I really love this trailer. I am jazzed for this movie.
Yeah, I've been lukewarm about it, but it's like I'm getting kind of like, I don't know if cautiously optimistic is the right word, but it's like it's piquing my interest more and more.
I don't think this is going to get us tossed out, but I don't care anymore.
Oh, now you don't care. It's like, well, I say that. It's plain Brad.
Here I am.
You want to help me?
Is there anything you remember?
Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States, Thaddeus Ross.
Whatever this is, Cap, be careful.
What do we know?
There were 5 shooters. This was a coordinated terrorist attack, sir.
I was a wartime general. Now I'm a wartime president.
Your inner circle's been compromised. Let me fix it.
Watch yourself. You're not Steve Rogers.
You're right. I'm not.
Okay,
Wait for it.
That was cool.
We're on the brink of war. I can't trust anyone. Nothing about this feels right.
Captain America. You ever ask yourself, who's playing who?
That shield is stopping missiles. Those are
pulling
evident.
the strings on everything.
You're under arrest.
I
I don't want a variable out there that I can't control.
Stop!
Captain America.
And we're finally seeing the hand.
Without his wings.
You'd like to play dress up and blindly execute the state's orders.
Don't say I didn't warn you.
What if this is a trap?
You don't even know what this is.
Since when were they red?
You want me? Come and get me!
Okay, that was a pretty good trailer. That's a pretty damn good trailer.
Aaron,
Aaron, it's kind of unavoidable in this trailer, right? It's like
what was
it's
that?
politics. Oh, he's asking about the band topics in the
Oh.
trailer. Well, I mean, the presidency
What's
in
a
a
fictional guy?
in a fictional context. It's like, yeah, you gotta.
Listen, fictional politics we can talk about till the cows come home.
Yeah.
That's no problem. I mean, that is no president is going to turn that I know of is going to turn into
Turn into the whole
a
yeah.
1,000-pound red giant and start bucking people up. I would like to see that, but it's not, so yeah, we're fictional politics we're fine with. It's the real stuff that, like I said, right now, and not just that, not just politics. The weight of the outside world can fucking crush you.
Mhm.
It can crush you until you find some place where it is no longer getting closer. The mountain can come down. You got to find a stronger bolt where the rocks stop falling on you. And this is what I want this to be. This is what I want this store to be. So politics aside, just whatever it is, when it was the pandemic, when I was jumping on, that's when I started jumping on YouTube. That's what it was for me. When it was a recession, when it's when it's anything, it could be localized. You could be going through a hurricane or a storm that has left your place of residence ravaged. If you can get on the internet and if you can get on YouTube, there you go. This is an hour, so you don't have to deal with that. So not just politics, it's the crushing weight of the outside world. So there we go. So that's the determining factor when it comes. If it's real and it's outside, then let's leave it there. All right. I love that trailer.
Yeah, that was a pretty good trailer.
The intensity. I'm a spy movie guy.
Yeah,
I grew up in the Cold War. So
yeah, that gave major that looks like that gave me major Winter Soldier kind of vibes. I mean, that looks a lot like especially they have Harrison Ford in it. I mean, that kind of has a little bit of like a feel of like almost like Clear and Present Danger, like the Jack Ryan movies that he did. So
yeah, Tom Clancy. There's definitely a Tom Clancy vibe. There's definitely an intrigue. It's just intrigue. It's like you don't know who to trust, and the way he says your inner circle's been compromised, and you see the leader there. Because if you read the comics, the leader helped them develop the means for Thunderbolt Ross to become the Red Hulk. And his powers work differently, though. He radiates energy. He's got a different type of energy. They altered it to try to make him more powerful than the Hulk. And he does it in the comics. If he changes back, the more he changes back into Thunderbolt Ross, I believe he starts to die. And so he had to stay that way for a long time. The way they introduced the Red Hulk in the comics was cool because you didn't know who it was for quite a while.
It was a build up, yeah. And of course they didn't give him a mustache because that would have been a dead giveaway. Yeah,
his mustache disappears. There were some people that were buying comics from me at the time. I shit you not. Day 1, minute 1, that's Thunderbolt Ross. I'm like, how?
I didn't guess it.
It was a hunch. And I'm like,
I was following that at the time. I didn't guess it.
That was like back when Bastion, back in when, in the late 90s, mid and late 90s, I was saying, nobody believed me. That's fucking Nimrod. That's Nimrod. And it was Nimrod from when he went through the Siege Perilous and merged himself with Master.
Yeah, or it's like me when I'm telling everybody that Mad Max is the feral kid.
That's just silly. Okay. All right. So what did you guys think of that trailer? Please leave a
and also we're finally gonna get like some reference to the hand of the big Eternal just sticking out of the ocean like that, as you see in the I'm gonna guess that's probably like that looks very like kind of final battle-ish to me, that one part. So
Well, what it is I think as we get closer to Secret Wars, I think we're going to realize that not all these movies are taking place under the same
so
universe.
you think that's still an alternate Earth?
Yeah, because too many things have happened that nobody said shit about. And like I said, I think Fantastic Four bring to the surface that we've been watching these stories, and we think they're all from the same universe, and some of them have the same people, but there are alternate universes that are going to be revealed and as they go away. So I'm good there.
Okay. Yeah. Again, like I said, I've been prior to them starting the marketing, I've been pretty lukewarm about this, about Brave New World. But yeah, the marketing has done a pretty good job. I would say it's like I'm actually getting progressively more excited for it. I will say so.
No,
like,
we're never going to have that. We're never going to have that because why would you come here?
Yeah.
Why would you come here? You could just stay where the fuck you're at and just curl up in a ball and deal with the misery that's there. Why would you come here? Why would you come indoors to be rained on? You know what I mean?
Everything goes unbanned. I mean, there are people who are like going to take that as like license to like, well, you said everything's unbanned, so like then they're really going to start pushing buttons.
Speaking of wrestling, I just learned that the $1 Million Man used to act rich in public and throw real money around at restaurants. All people. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. Yes, Vince would pay for that shit, and sometimes they were hundreds. If you were in the right.
President Luther would kick that president's butt with Mex. Oh, and listen, there is one. She thinks President Luther would kick President Ross's butt with his mech suit. Listen,
am I missing something? Who's
Lex Luthor?
Oh, Lex Luthor. Oh, okay. I'm like, what? I'm sorry. I hate that storyline. By the way.
Yeah. But he's they put out one spot, and it's definitely as of the last episode that all of you have seen. They have a set up Lex getting his mech suit for Superman and Lois's finale. So it's very much the writing's on the wall. We're going to see him in the mech suit, which I believe that's going to be the first time in live action Lex will have worn his mech suit. There is there is
many opportunities that they've had to do that. This is going to be it.
Well, and see, here's the thing. So, like, I remember, like, when we first saw the scene of in ZSJL of Clark walking through the ship to get the black suit to join the team. There's one of those like Kryptonian spacesuits in the one of the pods behind him, and I've seen people suggest like, oh, that maybe Lex like commandeers that and retrofits that to be his mech suit. It's like, yeah, I think you might be onto something there. That might have been the idea.
That will never see the end of. The MCU is actually based off. Yes, this is 100% true. The MCU is based off the Ultimate Universe, and a lot of people don't even realize that. No, because what they
has
did,
elements of it. Yeah,
what they did. It's almost entirely, if you look at it, I would say about 80%. 80%. You look at Captain America, that Captain America from the Ultimate Universe, and you look at Captain America that we got. Samuel L. Jackson is clearly that was the deal.
That was the biggest. Like, right off the bat, that was the biggest thing from Ultimates that they brought in the MCU.
What he did is said, yeah, you can use my likeness to tell the story as long as if there's ever a movie, I get to play it. That's how he got that role too.
Yeah.
What happens in the Ultimates, though, the difference between how the Ultimates comes around versus in the Marvel MCU universe or just a Marvel 616, everybody gets their powers randomly and whatever. For the most part, even the Hulk, I think all the powers are created from them trying to replicate the super soldier serum. I believe the Hulk was created because they tried it out. It was a version of the super soldier that mutated, and almost everything in the Ultimate Universe was due to and then they find them and then they have the guy. So yeah, the MCU, and this is why I never understood why they consolidated. Secret Wars was a really stupid storyline. I did not like it. Now here we are again, 9 years later, undoing Secret Wars. But the Marvel Ultimate, they had some weak stories every now and then. But so does any imprint you have that's gonna be successful and be around a long time is going to have a weak story every now and then. As a brand, I never thought that the Ultimate Universe should have gone away. And it's been proven by the fact that its sales have been strong since Ultimate Spider-Man came out. Ultimate Black Panther sells, Ultimate Spider-Man. Ultimate X-Men is kind of weak. But the Ultimates, they're all doing fine. And I don't see why they did that. Once again, you have one person with one editorial direction that wants to take everybody down with them. So yeah, that is 100% true.
Aaron's asking why you don't like the Lex Luthor President storyline.
It's the same reason I don't like Thunderbolt Ross being president. once you're in that role, you know, it just adds a dimension to the villain that I don't need. I didn't need it in Lex. I didn't need it in Thunderbolt Ross. Thunderbolt Ross being the general who was in charge of hitting the Hulk was all I needed as justification for him going after. I could have done. Now they're using it. I think they're using it perfectly as far as I can see in Captain in this. But in general, I don't need to see Tony Stark be the Secretary of Defense like it was for a while. I don't need to see these guys assuming these roles. You know, I just don't need to see it. It just doesn't add anything to the character for me. And Lex Luthor, when if the motivations are wrong with Lex Luthor, I'm usually not entertained by that version of Lex Luthor. So there's your answer.
Yeah, but it's for anyone who hasn't been following any of the marketing. Yes, it's very clear Lex will find again. It's like finally getting Lex in the mech suit in live action. Which, like I said, I think Zach's plan for the Justice League sequels, certainly with like the final battle with Darkseid, would definitely involve Lex in the mech suit. But I mean, because of how everything's unfolded, we will be seeing Lex in the mech suit in live action first time on Superman and Lois.
Which anything should not be the first time on CW. I'm sorry.
Well, for this show, it's like is the one they really break out the check before. I'm trying to
should have been a movie.
Maybe you can refresh my memory on this, William. It's like, when exactly did they bring the mech suit into the comics? That was like the 60s, wasn't it?
No, I believe
or
it was
70s. What was it?
I believe it was. It might have been. I think it might have been late 70s.
Hold on, yeah, was Gene Hackman Lex Luthor when they introduced the mech suit?
I can give you an exact answer right now. Hold on. Give me a second. No. It's the 80s.
80s, okay.
1983.
80 what?
The 1983, the pre-crisis one, and then 87 for the post-crisis one.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, because I don't know if I could necessarily see Gene Hackman's Lex Luthor with the mech suit. Maybe I could have seen Kevin Spacey if he had continued. And he's essentially the same Lex Luthor. Michael Rosenbaum, not real well. Like the Smallville timeline, obviously, that's pre everything status quo.
No, I have not.
And then who else have we had? As far as Lex Luthor's, John Cryer, I don't think I could see with the mech suit. John Shea, probably not. Yeah, so really the only, and if you've been following Superman and Lois, you could see why Michael Cudlitz's Lex Luthor would definitely be one to develop a mech suit. And then Jesse Eisenberg,
he reminds me of Obadiah Stane out of fucking Iron Man. That's what he looks like when
he does have that. He's got like a kind of a truck driver Lex Luthor sort of feel to him.
He's got a Walter White look to him.
Michael Cudlitz and Jesse Eisenberg, they're the only live action Lex Luthors we've had so far who I can, in the context of what we've seen them in, I can envision them with the mech suit.
All right, Reed. Okay, how you said after 2025, Marvel will only have 2 films and 3 shows. Thoughts? That's fine. I mean, I like frequency, but at the same time, I trust him. So if he feels that the pace needs to be lessened down, I'm glad that he's having the 3 TV shows though, because before when we were having 4 movies, that kind of output, we didn't have the TV shows to hold us over. So, if you were telling me 2 movies a year without the TV shows, I'm like, oh, that's a bummer. But if you're telling me that the bedrock of this is going to be the TV shows, I have that, and they're intermittent, that's fine with me. That's a pace up that I can deal with as a fan. Apple can afford the debt. Yeah, Apple can afford the debt, but you know what? Sometimes you want to. Just because you can do something, you don't become a $1 trillion company by doing stupid things, though. And in order for them to do it, they would have to see something they're worth doing it for. So if they're going to take a $49 billion kick right to both balls, then it's got to be something value of them that they think they can generate revenue and increase the value of their company. And right now in the state of Warner Brothers, I just don't see it. Even if you could, like I said, they could have done it. Microsoft in a heartbeat could have done it. There are companies that in a heartbeat that could have done these things, and just they've looked at it. And I'm pretty sure there's been talks, and they just for some reason they haven't done it. So yeah, Apple can mathematically afford to do it. Do they philosophically want to do it and operationally want to do it? That's the question. Okay, let's see. Brad, this is for you.
Brad, do you think Penguin will make Downey turn Von Doom into his version of Oz? I'm not quite sure where you're getting at here,
I don't
man.
understand the question.
Penguin will make. Are you saying that Robert Downey Jr. is going to like pattern his performance as Doom after? No, I don't think he's not going to pattern after anybody. He's going to do it his thing.
Yeah, because there's never. I mean, yeah, then that's the best way.
Yeah. He's not going to model, Dr. Doom off of the Penguin. No.
I don't think we're going. I really doubt. Be honest with you, as we get closer, because time's running out for that version of Wolverine. I do believe time run because you only have the consolidation of this universe, and then whatever happens after that. And at that point, you're talking about a 62-year-old, and Hugh Jackman doesn't want to stay in that kind of shape anymore. It takes a lot for a guy who's pushing. How old is Hugh Jackman?
He's like 57 or 56.
Yeah,
he's like 57 now.
As you close in on 60, if you don't want to, if that's it's really hard.
Well, it's not just a matter of like staying in shape. I mean, you can do that at any age. It's a matter of like staying in the shape that he looks like when he's got his shirt off, which is
but that's what I mean though. He doesn't want to do that work anymore. So I can't see him playing Wolverine again. But then again, like I said, I don't see when you say more MCU projects, that could mean one more. That could be Secret Wars. That could literally be one more project. When it comes to Deadpool, I don't see it working out when you start to mix Deadpool because, like I said, his appeal is something that is not a force multiplier when it comes to getting families. Yeah, it made $1 billion in the highest grossing rated R movie since Joker, but at the same time, there's a built-in fan base. All you needed, you already had $700-800 million of Fox viewership, people that were going to come see this movie, hell or high water. What you did is you added 25% basically of the MCU universe, mostly adults. That's where you got your billion from. But that movie, the way you don't want to compromise what Deadpool is to try to shoehorn them into the MCU. If you take away the vulgarity and all the other things that are the appeal of and the gore and the violence. Why you got plenty of other characters that you can use. Why are you going to change that? And does Ryan Reynolds want that? He has anonymity and autonomy pretty much right now when it comes to how he does that character. But once you start putting, the dick jokes and all this other shit into, the Fantastic Four or Spider-Man, it just doesn't work. I don't think, because you couldn't do that. You couldn't do that on a PG movie. You really couldn't do it. And like I said, I think you hurt the character Deadpool as they have interpreted him if you do that. So one more, I don't see it being a bunch though, but that's just me. But if Kevin Feige comes out and says, but see, when you say one more, in order for me to like start thinking about it, I need to see a number. Well, how many are you talking about? Because you could tell me we're going to get more Wolverine and it's 15 minutes in the last movie that he's in. So you know what I mean? So let's see. Oh, wow, I'm way behind. Absolute fun. I hope it's a better Howard the Duck than the one I saw in the movie. And as a comic book fan, I'm a big fan of Howard the Duck. I'm a big fan of the Nexus of all. Google the Nexus of all realities, Marvel Comics. There's some really good stories that are told there. And I know when you think of Howard the Duck, you think of comedy because he is sort of comic relief, but he's involved in all the shit. He's involved in all that. He really could have been in that Man-Thing special.
Yeah,
he really could have been in that Man-Thing special, but they decided not to do it. So,
Aaron says, Brad, there is one Lex Luthor with perfect. The word Max, that's John. Yeah, and like I said, Aaron probably is because I watched it periodically growing up. That's kind of the one like Superman like series or movie that I didn't like quite get as into because, and maybe it was because. Again, it was a little bit more adult. It was a little bit more. Again, the focus was on, and not this is a bad approach to take with it, but the focus was on it's called Lois and Clark for a reason because the focal point is their romance and their their workplace life at Daily Planet. Superman is kind of not in the backdrop, but he comes second to that. And at the time that was the show was airing, I was a kid, so it's like I probably was not the right audience for that. Erin, though, like she's mentioned, she's really into soap operas, and that has kind of like a soap opera sort of quality to it, so that really drew her in. And yeah, John Shea was Lex Luthor on that, so yeah, I'd have to revisit that to kind of see, remember kind of what his whole sort of aura as Lex Luthor was, to kind of see if how well I could see him with a mech suit. So, but yeah, you're probably more knowledgeable about that than me. And like I said, that's the one, like when it comes to Superman series or movies, because obviously I'm a huge Superman fan. That's the one that I never really took the big deep dive in, like with everything else, because just combination of like the tone they took and my age, well, it just wasn't for. Yeah, we are.
Okay.
It just didn't hit me at the right time at that age, and it's not to say it's not that what they were doing with it was invalid. It's just that it just didn't pull me in at the time. But yeah, I'll look him up again. Like I'll look up some of his performance on as Lex to kind of see if I could see him with the mech suit on. It probably would have been a little bit harder to pull off back then, purely just on a. Well, I don't know, because I'm thinking like the only thing I could see with what Aaron's saying about having him in the mech suit on Lois, the only thing maybe I could see them holding back on that, maybe it's like a budgetary thing.
Probably because you'd have to.
And they had a big budget for that show. That was on.
What show is she talking about?
Yeah, Lois and Clark.
Well, yeah, because it was a network primetime show.
Yes, they had a budget for that show, but it also, effects that certainly on TV just weren't, what they are now. So that's the thing that I think probably would have been like the thing that would have held them back from that.
That mech show, that suit should appear for the first time on a.
Well, again, I think it was meant to, if not for Warner Brothers, causing this big topsy-turvy thing with the Snyderverse. I think would have been like Lex gets the Kryptonian kind of astronaut suit from the scout ship, and he modifies it with a Lex Cortec, and you get the mech suit there. That's like cinematic debut of it, and it'd be so cool to see him fighting Darkseid and fighting paradigms of that. It's like
Darkseid would be able to with one punch. The suit would be destroyed.
Yeah, but still, he'd be taking on paradigms with it, and because that was something actually kind of. You'll see this if anybody watches like the Project Justice League motion comic. Lex, he's the one who like destroys. He sacrifices himself, destroys Darkseid ship in kind of like the final battle. And that was something that kind of, when I first saw it, I remember thinking like, oh, this is something new that these guys, the four nerds and everybody involved kind of add to it. That's kind of a nice touch, and maybe Zach would like kind of work that in. And then I realized I found later, I guess this interview slipped me by, where Zach had given an interview where he said, yeah, he would actually give Lex some redemption at the end, where he would be the one to like kind of do like the final sort of pushing the button and nuking Darkseid's ship and him inside of it. So that's yeah. So it's a long-winded thing, but.
By the way, this you were asking where this is coming from. It's D23 Brazil.
D23 Brazil. Okay, I'll say I have multiple D23s, huh?
Mm-hmm. All right, here we go. This is the Thunderbolts trailer, which I also enjoyed, and I'm looking forward to it.
Oh, America's so big. You ever drive through Oklahoma? It's so flat.
You got a convoy approaching fast. Step on it.
Come on, baby.
Okay, a bit faster, please.
Lexi!
Okay, don't worry. Engaging defensive measures.
Oh my god.
Wait, that's not supposed
Oh my god.
Move the shield!
Is that Bucky? It's a Winter Soldier. That guy is so cool. That's what I talk about!
That's not good.
Hey! Oh, shit.
Yeah, I agree,
How
Droga.
crazy is it to
trailer or a
think of
clip?
all the monumental fights that happened exactly here where you're standing? I mean, the place wasn't cheap, but it's got good optics. Look at you. You are all so adorable.
Eat shit, Valentina.
Make up your mind.
The assignment is. Oh, wait, hang on. Assignment is complete.
Decide to always.
What kind of super serum did you get?
I don't know, regular. Hydra.
Hydra. Oh, fancy.
Who is this old Santa?
The Red Guardian.
What?
Everyone here has done bad things. Shadow ops. Contract kills.
And you, former Red Room assassin. God only knows the blood on your hands.
Pretty ludicrous coming from the dime store Captain America.
I'll have you know I was actually the official Captain America, so.
Yeah, for like 2 seconds.
It's getting so tense in here.
Who are you?
I'm Bob.
We're just drifting. And we don't have purpose. You can't escape the past.
So you can either do something about it now or live with it forever.
So what, do we all just punch and shoot?
We are the Thunderbolts!
Can't call ourselves that.
Thank God.
The Thunderbolts. It's a cool name.
So we're some sort of Suicide Squad.
Oh, much better than that.
Oh.
I love the use of Possum Kingdom by the Toadies. That was an alternative hit in the mid-90s. That's probably going to get us taken down. The songs in this trailer are probably going to get me demonetized, but that's fine. We needed to see that trailer.
So help me, Jesus.
Oh, wow. You singing was not on my my bingo card. But no, I listen to both of these trailers, and I'm glad that they released them. They have the same feel to me. Captain America obviously is more intense, but you still see the people that are probably at work behind the scenes are probably the same people. That's probably the unifying factor. You're fighting this entity that's within the government that makes it so that people can't trust people and they have to go outside of the system. Everybody in their roles, I love. What's his face? David Harbour is good in just about anything he's in, including he's actually good in Hellboy, but it's just a horrible movie.
He's a great Santa. If you haven't seen Violent Night.
Yeah, he's awesome.
They had a little inside joke there about the whole Santa suit. It's like, oh, that's an allusion to him as Santa in Violent Night. And then Florence Pugh, she was probably because I wasn't too big on Black Widow. She was probably my favorite thing about Black Widow, though. Was
she's the best. Well, him and her. The two best things about Black Widow are in this movie.
Yeah.
You have and my favorite is Wyatt Russell as John Walker. Captain America, Falcon and the Winter Soldier was one of my favorite MCU shows. I love the way they did not have a lot of time to tell his thorough story, but the one that they told there is great. The one that they told there was great. And he's starting to lighten up like he usually does in the comics, and he's funny. John Walker, he's funny. He's sarcastic like that. He would say some shit like, actually, I was the official Captain America. He's the kind of guy that's characterized in comics that would set that record straight just for the hell of it. And he looks like, and they look like the chemistry between them is excellent. And that's what you want in a team movie.
Do you think he'll ever have that, his black suit, his black U.S. agent suit?
That's what he's wearing.
Yeah, but it's like, okay, so maybe I'm mixing that up with something else. It looked a little bit more reminiscent of Captain America to me in the trailer. I don't know, maybe it's like the lighting.
No, the U.S. agent. That's the okay. So that you know how that suit came about, right?
Well, yeah, because he was Captain America for a while, and then when he left the role, then he's got he takes on the role of U.S. agent.
Well, okay. So when Steve Rogers originated that universe, or that, I'm sorry, that uniform, and he called himself the Captain.
Yep.
Yeah, it didn't become the U.S. agent until what's his face took it over and joined the West Coast Avengers.
Yeah.
So if you look at that costume,
and see, yeah, I don't know, maybe it's just me. It's just like I don't know, maybe it's just like it still looks a little bit blue to me. It's like I feel like they could have been like maybe it's just the trailer. Maybe they'll do color correcting in the movie. But it's like I don't know, it could like use like a little bit more of a shade of black to me.
Well, it's depending on who's drawing it. It is a dark blue, almost black suit. But when the light hits it in the right area, as you see here. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, his suit looks exactly like now the original shield that Steve Rogers used as the U.S. agent was silver. It had no design on it. So, but I've always loved the evolution of his character. And they couldn't have picked a better actor to play him. Not only does he looks and feel everything, he acts like him. He has that official, Now in the comics, the U.S. agent is different. He's a criminal he starts out as a criminal. He starts out as a terrorist called the Patriot, and he was recruited to become Captain America after Steve Rogers stepped down in Captain America 336, I believe. And he became Captain America, and he was Captain America for about a year or so. And then it turned out that it was the Red Skull that was behind everything that caused Captain America to resign as Captain America. And the Red Skull had cloned himself a new body, and it was Steve Rogers' body. So he was going around committing crimes as Steve Rogers to besmirch the name of Captain America. So that was a whole point, because he hated Captain America to the point he wanted to not only destroy him, but he wanted to destroy everything that he was about. And appointing the loose cannon that was John Walker helped do that, because John Walker would kill fools. There was an episode to where left winger and right winger, there's two characters that were part of the group, the Mad Dogs. He was a lead aligned with. They knew his real name, so they doxed him. They put his real names out there, and these characters called the Watchdogs went to his parents' house and killed both of his parents, and he kills them. He uses his shield. He kills them. I mean, just bloodthirst, bam. And that's not, and that's the kind of thing that the Red Skull wanted. He wanted, to attach, death and destruction to Captain America's name. He ended up failing, though, and Captain America and Steve, John Walker and Steve Rogers joined up to beat Red Skull. Dummy is chewing on his dust to try to spit it at people, and he chews down on his cigarette and turns himself back into the Red Skull, which was hilarious. But yeah, I love John Walker, and I like her. I haven't seen Ghost since Iron Man and Wasp. I didn't know if I'd ever see her again.
Captain America or Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Yeah, Ant-Man and the Wasp. And then you have Bob, who I think that he's gonna play Bob. I think this guy is gonna try to work himself to play Bob in any movie he's in. Because he's Bob in Top Gun 2, and there's no reason for that. He's like,
Captain Israel is awesome. Here it says, yeah, Sabra looks pretty cool in the trailer. Although they are, avoiding a banned topic here. Huh?
Is that what they call her?
Sabra, yeah. It's her.
Well, no, I know what her name. What do they call her in?
Well, she's the de facto kind of Captain Israel, is I think what Aaron's getting. But yeah, they are at the risk of tiptoeing towards a banned topic. They are modifying her backstory in the movie. She's still Israeli, but she's a former Black Widow, I think. So Sabra is Captain Israel.
Louis Pullman, by the way, is Bob, which is hilarious. But he's Sentry, which is one of the dumbest characters I in Marvel history. But hey,
what the hell are you talking about? You telling me I don't read Marvel?
What are you talking about?
He's telling me I don't read Marvel. It's like, what the hell are you talking
I'm looking at a different screen.
You know how many Spider-Man comics I got stacked over there, man?
Let's see. Goes Tina. Louis Dreyfus says Fontaine is great too.
Yeah. And finally somebody wrote the Seinfeld curse. Yeah.
Well, he broke it.
Well, yeah, but it's I think I was meaning the supporting cast is what kind of got saddled with that, and even Seinfeld himself, he he was mostly he was mostly just kind of returning to stand up after the show ended. Azteca says Sabra, that's the brand name of hummus she buys. A yummy. I don't think I've ever had hummus in my life.
Where is she at? And I don't see her in the list of people on this movie.
No, Shira Haas is the one who portrays her.
Why is she not on this thingamajig? Olga Kuryl.
Seinfeld should play a Marvel villain. You know, for as big of a Superman fan as he is, I'm kind of surprised he hasn't had any kind of you think he'd have a cameo or something.
Okay, I'm on the Wikipedia page. Maybe I just don't see her name.
Well, she's listed for the movie. She's listed as in the cast. They don't list her as Sabra. They list her as Ruth Bat Seraph. So she's like the third one down. Oh wait, no, she's in. Oh, okay, I'm sorry, we're mixing up. She's in Brave New World. Sorry, we're mixing this all up.
Oh, I'm like, what the fuck?
Brave New World. She's not in Thunderbolts.
I'm like, wow. I've been waiting for this movie. Let's see. Captain America.
I'm listening to Possum Kingdom right now.
Dude, the Toadies. Oh man, there's another song that they always would play
here.
They would always play back to back. There's a song by called Mars or Stars by Hum. It's oh my goodness, I love that.
Oh, Larry just sent a super chat for Brad. Okay, thank you for the $10. I'll go get some hummus and pita bread.
Oh no, I saw. Okay, I saw her. I know what you're talking about. Okay, I got you. All right, sorry about that. Oh, what happened? What did Larry do?
Oh, you sent a super chat for me to buy some Sabra hummus and pita bread.
Okay, thank you for the support. I'll take support any way we can get it. All right, so Kevin Feige said X-Men. Oh yeah, they're going to. I think that you're going to see the Fox X-Men help. I think you're going to see all these universes prevalent, and then they're going to go away, and then what's left is what they want. So you're going to have Avengers. But they'll be, it'll be the Fantastic Four, and you'll have Mutant Kind. So basically, you're not discounting everything we've been watching since 2008, but you don't have to force in the new stuff that you want. You're doing it so that it all makes sense. So I love what they're doing. I didn't like it in the comics because I thought it was stupid. I think the movies you need to consolidate some things sometimes if you want to go forth with this lineage. In comics, you don't need to do that. Comics was dumb. All right, so those are the two trailers.
Yeah. I'm kind of curious what the soundtrack for because Thunderbolts, that's another one where I've been kind of lukewarm on. I am starting to warm up to, and part of that is because the sound, both the trailers have had pretty awesome. I'm kind of wondering what the soundtrack of the movie itself is going to be because I might actually be kind of like rocking out in the theater listening to the soundtrack for it. That's all. That always gets like an extra kind of point for me if you have a good soundtrack accompanying something. So.
Yeah, the song I'm talking about. Hold on, am I still in the air?
Yeah, it was originally called New World Order, and now it's called Brave New World. So I don't know if that's going to play into, and also, I mean, it's also gone through it's kind of through a little bit like a Daredevil Born Again kind of thing, where it's like they did hit the brakes and rework it fairly extensively. So that might be part of the reason for the title change.
What was his original title? I forgot.
For Captain America, it was New World Order, and now it's Brave New World.
It's Brave New World sounds better.
Anthony wanted to be the answer with William and
Thunderbolts.
They
the football game.
That Sentry going to start on the team, but realistically, when he turns bad during the movie, who won that team is going to stop him.
Well, he has weaknesses, so you get the same way he always gets stopped. There's ways to stop Sentry. I mean, he's very powerful, but remember Hulk. I think him and Hulk fought.
By the way, guys, when we talk about banned topics, it's just addressing something I'm not going to bring up. But I'm seeing in the comments. Other thing includes like legal issues people have dealt with. We're not a court of law. We're not weighing one way or another on that. So. You guys know what you're talking about in the comments, so we're not diving into any of
Oh well, Adam Warlock. Shit, they missed Adam Warlock doing the Infinity. I can't believe we went through the Infinity Saga and didn't get him until, and then it was a lame version of him.
Jesus.
Let's see. All right, that's it for the trailers. We're gonna go through these pretty quick because I am starting to fade a little bit. It's been a rough month. Like I said at the beginning of the show, Halloween. I've been running nonstop since before Halloween, because Halloween kicks off our big revenue season here at the store. I mean, literally, we're what 2.5 weeks from Black Friday.
Yeah, well, that's like you said. That's kind of retail. They want to get the holiday season as quickly as they can, and then I mean you see that reflected, when you go to the mall or you go to, any Walmart or any big retail outlet. Now it's like they're getting out the Christmas decorations at the same time they're getting out.
The trees are already up at Depot. They got the trees,
and now it's like really looking like
creepy ass elf is up there still.
Yeah.
William, back to the WB. Realistically, I disagree with you because Tim Cook and Bezos can buy it and not affect their bottom line. Okay. You have to have a better reason than I can do it. What does it do for your company? Because those people, even at the stock as high as they want to, even if you got $800 stock, you don't want it going to 600. I don't care how much money you have. There has to be a reason other than, hey, I can do it. Otherwise, they would have done it already. Everything you guys are saying had happened at any moment over the last 2 years. Pimple Popper dude was the only person that wanted the company. That's why he has it. AT&T wanted to get rid of it, and nobody else wanted it. And that's not me talking. It's still sitting out there. And all these guys, Tim Cook, Bezos, all these guys they still have the same amount of money, if not more, than they had when the shit went on the market. And it's been on the market for quite a while now. So I think I would love to see, dude, you're talking to somebody who would love to see Amazon just take it and exploit it the way I think DC should be exploited. They don't want it. I don't think they want it. And at current time, they don't want it. And I think the same thing with Microsoft. If they wanted it, they'd have it. There's nothing stopping them from getting it. Nothing. They have the money. They could absorb the debt. But just because you can do something doesn't necessarily mean that, you should or that you're going to. So that's where I'm at with that. Yeah, I do tire. It's like I said, you guys got to realize, like, these are, I work on the average combined with everything we do, whether it be streaming, working, everything else outside of the all that. It's about 80 to 100 hours depending on. And if there's a live event like the week of Halloween, I'm a Dodger fan. I didn't get to sit down in front of a TV for the most part and watch the World Series. I was at the Rocky Horror Picture Show at a casino area because we'd been commissioned to do the show there for the fourth year in a row. I was there, and I ran the story that day, and I believe I streamed later on that evening. So yeah, I'm hitting it, a lot, and every now and then, I do, and it's not just physically; it's exhausting. Your brain, my brain never stops, and it makes it hard for me to sleep sometimes. So I get shit sleep because all this stuff that's racing through my head. That's why the streams help. Streams help me get it out of my head, and so that the two squirrels that run my brain aren't currently just running and running and running. I'd say, hey, fucking stop. So yeah, I do tire.
Yeah, yes, they are damaged goods, and it's like whoever wants to buy them is like they're taking on the debt and the damage of the goods and the responsibility of repairing the goods. So there you go.
Yeah, and like I said, you just have to. It's a weight. It's a lot of weight that you don't need. Like I said, if you're Apple, you have everything you need as a company. The only thing you have is the distinguished IP. But are they worth $49 billion? Because there's nothing else in that company is. Even with Harry Potter, you're talking about somebody who has the distribution rights to Harry Potter, and he's still not attractive enough right now for somebody to snap him up.
Well, I'm going to bend the rules of politics on here slightly because, yes, we need this. William, you got to run, man. It's like, country needs you, brother.
I'd never want to run for public office. Discovery is damaged goods. Warner Brothers isn't. People are No, they are damaged goods because Warner Brothers and Discovery, it's no longer, whether you want to like it or not, it's the same company right now. The guy who ran Discovery is running Warner Brothers, and Warner Brothers is damaged goods because before they were damaged goods before Discovery picked them up. They've been damaged goods, it's a certain degree since AOL fucked them up.
Well, they've really been damaged goods, in the last 8 years or so.
Bezos is one of the richest men in the world. There's just saving Warner Brothers isn't gonna do anything more for his ego than having that's gonna do to it. All right, so we've covered those two things, and something I wish I wasn't covering, but a part of life is death. And Tony Todd, as we covered over the last 24 hours, has left the building. You really, if you're watching this show, you no doubt are the demographic that knows who this man is. He was in everything.
Was him?
He was voices of shit I don't watch. So even if you're not into my shit, you were into some other shit that you heard
have seen a minimum of one Tony Todd movie or TV show in your lifetime. Everybody has.
And like I said, the last time I saw him on screen was that I love that Candyman movie.
I think that was the last thing as far as like that wasn't a voice role. I think that was the last thing I saw him into.
Yeah, because I don't watch a lot of cartoons, so if he did a voice role, I barely even knew that he did those for me. But other people knew him too, and he had the voice to do all that stuff. He had an excellent voice. But the last thing I saw him in, and I was so happy to see that, because a lot of times they'll jam, the guy the role for in there, and it doesn't fit. Look at it's the Candyman. Remember him? No, because of the nature of what Candyman was in that movie, it was so appropriate that he was there. Yeah, I'm going to spoil it for you at the end. The movie's been around. Yahya Mateen is playing Candyman throughout, but he assumes the role because Candyman is like a spirit that just jumps. And at the end, Yahya, his version of it, turns into a bunch of bees and then reforms into Tony Todd. The pop that crowd let out when that happened was beautiful. And Candyman is one of the best horror movies I've ever seen. It has a vibe to it, and they captured. This is hard to do. The 2022 version of Candyman, the one that just came out, the one I still have mirrors and shit here for. That version of Candyman did something that a lot of continuations, remakes, or sequels or long-term sequels ever get a chance to do, and that is capture the spirit and the vibe of the original. And it does it, and it does it expertly. And that's the last thing that I saw Tony Todd in. I can't find it. Yeah, I had mirrors because, like I said, I told you guys we scared the shit out of people. We sent them into a bathroom, turned the light out. In order to get your ticket, you had to say Candyman 5 times.
People were reluctant to do that.
People were reluctant. They were running out of the bathroom. I got video of it.
Please share that sometime, man.
Yeah, I got to get the people's permission. All right, Tony Todd.
Share it, man.
Yeah, you got to do that. Tony Todd, an actor who played the killer Candyman and its 2021 sequel and appeared in Final Destination movies. We don't talk about those here. Franchise and Platoon amongst more than 240 film and TV credits spanning 40 years. Died November 6th at his home in Los Angeles. He was 69. His rep confirmed the news to Deadline, but they did not provide a cause of death. Wikipedia did, though. Born on December 4th, 1954 in Washington, D.C., Todd pursued acting at the Eugene. Why are you doing donuts? I don't know if you guys can hear that. I can hear it.
I can't. Yeah.
Tires are expensive. Anyway, all right. Maybe I should be wearing their headphones. At Eugene O'Neill National Theater's Institute of Trinity Comic Conservatory, where he honed his skills and developed his commanding style. Amongst his first screen roles was playing the heroin-addicted Sergeant Warren in Oliver Stone's Best Picture Oscar-winning Vietnam War classic Platoon. Platoon was great. Todd went on to guest on such popular 1980s and 90s series as 21 Jump Street, Night Court, MacGyver, Matlock, Jake and the Fat Man, Law and Order, The X-Files. I remember The X-Files. New York PD Blue, Beverly Hills 90210, Xena, Warrior Princess, and Murder, She Wrote in Star Trek Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, Voyager. He also recurred as a pesky news reporter Matt Rhodes in Homicide: Life on the Street, as Gus Rogan in more than a dozen of 2013 episodes of The Young and the Restless. All the while, Todd continued to act of his big screen. He appeared in 1980s dramas Lean on Me, Colors. Oh, wow, he was in Colors. Charlie Parker biopic Bird, starring Forrest Whitaker. But his best-known film roles came during the following decade. The 6'5", he was really big.
Wow,
Todd
started in tall.
Yeah, it starred in the 1990 remake of Night of the Living Dead. Has been the role played by Dwayne Jones and George A. Romero, the iconic 1968 Romero original. The next big role, likely his most famous, playing the mythical title Creep with a Hook for a Hand in Candyman 1992, a character he reprised in the 2021 sequel of the same name. Like I said, we that's got to be on the list for me pretty soon because I love that movie. Candyman, a 1992 film, was the ghost of Daniel Robitaille, whose parents were.
Hear more donuts out there.
I can see him from here doing it.
I think I did hear on that one.
Oh, and here comes Metro. The cops just rolled up on his ass. That's hilarious. All right, Daniel Robitaille, whose parents were enslaved in the 1800s and became an accomplished painter, but eventually he fell for a white woman whose enraged father sent the lynch mob to kill him. Robitaille was burned on the spot where a public housing project, Cabrini Green, project later is built and where a series of unexplained murders occurs. Let me email me myself. We got to do. We need to do Candyman. We need to do both of them. To be honest with you. The second one, The Day of the Dead, and Farewell to the
3 altogether, aren't there?
Yeah, those second ones and that third one are not bad movies by any means. They are not bad movies by any means, and they make sense, right? They just don't have that feel that the original does, and that the 2021 movie. That whole, you didn't even need to see Candyman to be fucking scared. You just know that legend is out there. And then when you finally see him in both the 1992 movie and the 2021 movie, they bring him in at the perfect time in the movie. So they built, good Lord, fucking grief, dude.
You need to just pause the show until they finish up or something.
Hold on for a second, because this is really distracting.
Okay. You guys got me.
Oh, and look at this.
We're going to get down to the business.
Okay, I got to show you guys this. This is.
Please do. Please do.
The camera can reach over here, and I don't. Okay. Can you see the smoke? You see that smoke rising? That's from his tires.
I think I see it. Yeah. Oh, I definitely heard that one.
I am 1,000 feet away. I can smell the rubber.
Wow.
This is what you're doing with your Saturday night. Beautiful.
It's impacting our Saturday night too. Oh yeah, there's a good one there.
Anyway,
I ripped like crazy on that one.
Yeah, it's fucking annoying. All right, the Candyman legend lived on in 2021 sequel directed by Nia DaCosta. It was among a number of horror roles that Todd that he would continue throughout his 40-year career, including playing a funeral home owner, William Bloodworth, in Final Destination. We don't talk about that show here, or that movie here. And multiple sequels. Ooh, none of those. He also played Grange, the right-hand man of Top Dollar. Yep. Remember that one? Everybody remembers that one. Top Dollar, Michael Wincott in 1994's The Crow, starring Brandon Lee. I mean, he was everywhere.
Yeah, that might be the only one watch party you've done with something with him in it so far on the channel.
Yeah, because we're not doing Final Destination. Don't ask. No.
No, here's the reason why. Because it's like, because Final Destination, it sets up like, okay, so like the bookshelf like tips over, and then like the side of it splinters, and somebody trips and falls face. So
everything
that
you use in daily life is being used
Yeah.
to kill people there, and I just don't want to be a part of that.
I think
Need to do. Maybe we should do a double feature of Candyman. You know what? What are we doing? What do we got going on next Saturday? Because I really there's very few movies recently that I really love to the point every time I think about them, I'm like, dude, this movie is fucking awesome. Let's see what we got, because I know I got Gladiator 2, so I might my schedule. Oh, come on, dude. Now you're coming over to ours?
So now they're coming closer?
They're coming into our parking lot to do this shit.
Guys.
Last time those assholes lost control of their car and they crashed into a building.
Whoa.
I'm on the top floor. I don't need you crashing into my shit down here. He's doing so tight. He's going to turn the car over. Oh, my God. Saturday night.
It's just one guy?
No,
one
now
car?
it's a bunch of them. Now they're all, and they got some expensive. I can see them. There's some expensive cars down there. Well, they're all tricked out and shit. So let's see.
Yeah, well, I hope again the cops should be showing up pretty soon. Oh yeah, I heard that one.
I want to look at my schedule to make sure that
where's security? Yeah. People in the comments can hear it.
Yeah, I'm like, somebody will or something, you know. And the cop, last time we called cops don't even come. All right, so we can do this on Saturday. We're doing that on Saturday the 16th. We are going to do that on Saturday the 16th. We're going to do 1992's Candyman, and we're going to do the 2021. We can those, like I said, those other ones are not bad movies. I don't know if it's just a feel of eeriness. The eeriness that's in those two movies. The other ones are just good horror movies. They're really good horror movies, and we can watch those at some time. But those two,
Eric can hear it all the way in Australia.
Yeah, she's from land down under.
Yeah, those guys are really having a hell of a Saturday night out there.
Well, they're doing it on the abandoned lot that's behind old supermarket that nobody uses, but Metro likes to come fuck with it. Dude, we have peaceful car shows that happen that nobody gets in any fights. They don't make any noise. They don't do any racing. And Metro comes and breaks those up. And that pisses me off. You know why? Because you see a nuisance. You see people just loitering, hanging out. I see dollar signs. I go down there and I send my guys down there, start handing out business cards and pointing up to there. You see that Green Lantern sign?
That's
get a chance.
That's hustle.
Come on up. And I paid money off them. Now these guys ain't gonna make shit on. They're just here to just tear up the tires. But like they'll bring in the car shows and they'll bring in the lowriders and they'll all of a sudden 3 or 4 taco trucks will be there just spontaneously, right? And there a bunch of weeds coming up here and smelling up, but I'm okay because you know what? If I can smell your weed, you're close enough for me to hand you a business card and you come on in here. And I've gotten like one time they did one out of nowhere, right? And all of a sudden it's a parking lot. You see how big my parking lot is?
Yeah, it's got like a landing strip out there.
It was packed. You was no other room. And now they saw I was open because I was the only one open on Saturday night. They were coming through. And I was getting it done. All right.
I think I should get out there and give some kicking lessons. Yeah.
It's not about the car. They got a lot of money put into these tires. They do. If you can spend that kind of money on your tires and then
I bet. Here's the thing. It's actually funny you should mention that Absolute because these people who are like doing street racing and donuts out there, they strike me as the kind of people who would have like impromptu like Fight Club nights Saturday night. So.
Oh, by the way, I'm going to put this back in here again. I don't know if you guys missed it. I put the URL, the link to Hum Stars. I love that song. There's a guitar solo in there that's really just great. So enjoy that. All right. We covered Candyman. Hey, got to do it. Go ahead and break out your copy of Superman.
Say again?
Break out your copy of Absolute Superman.
Oh, yes. This wonderful, magnificent work of art that just hit the shelves. That is an awesome read. This is like if you are a DC Comics fan, you should be reading Absolute DC, no questions asked. And if you're a Superman fan, you definitely should read it. This is like, I don't know I just can't wait to see what curveballs they keep throwing us because this is just such a crazy just reinvention of each character we've seen with Batman and Wonder Woman, now Superman. This is like I want to see like how just this is kind of reminded me a little bit of like when Injustice started. When they had the game and then they had the tie-in comic, and the tie-in comic was so popular they had to keep it going. I mean, they kept it going like 2 years or 3 years longer than they intended because it was so, and because that's an Elseworlds.
I think this kind of wore that story out though. I wish they would have. I wish they would have faced that story.
This is like that on steroids. I mean, this is like such a crazy different Elseworlds. It's like this is something that like really just helps reshape the whole IP, for years to come. I mean, this is like this is the kind of thing McFarlane's definitely gonna do action figures out of it.
Foil variant with the
but this is the kind of thing where it's like you're wondering, okay, yeah, when's like you want to keep reading what they do with it, but also then you're wondering like, okay, what else? You got it backwards, man.
No, I don't. That's frontward. This is the sketch variant.
Oh, okay. Well, oh yeah, it's hard to see on.
You kind of see the Superman logo, the absolute Superman logo is still there. I just don't want to open it up right now.
Okay, gotcha.
It's really what you have on a sketch variant. For those of you who are not familiar, you have a protective cover. Well, I'll go ahead and open it. Fuck it. You have a protective cover.
It looked like the wedding issue, like held up close because that was just pure white.
The slightest amount of dirt fucks up.
But yeah, this is the kind of thing where it's like you read this and like you want to see like, okay, how are they going to integrate this into other aspects of the of DC? Is like outside of comics, like it's like you want to see, okay, what are we going to see? How is this going to be integrated into animation? How is this going to be integrated live action? This is going to like you're going to see elements of this worked into movies and animation and whatnot. I absolutely guarantee that you are going to see absolute DC outside of the comics format.
Definitely. Real quick, so this is a sketch variant cover. So this is where your buddies, or if you have artists like Dawson, we've had on the show before. He does these things, or you could take this to a convention and have the actual artist sign it and sketch it on you, or you could do it yourself. That's what's called a sketch variant, and they usually come with something like this because the cover is always almost completely white, and just the slightest thing will mess up the cover and ruin its value.
Yeah.
So that's why you couldn't see that. But sketch variants, I got sketch variants for everything. I got sketch variants for Absolute Batman.
And that's the thing too. They are so invested in this. I mean, they've got like each one. They have like 4 variant covers.
Oh, way more than that.
Yeah. And of course, they got multiple reprintings every time. They're already going to second and third reprintings before they even hit the shelves. This is like everything William was saying about how like, hey, this is like he was just beating the drum about this needs to be a success. That's the one I got. That this needs to be a success. Just really. For DC, not just comics wise, but just like every facet of the IP, just really blow the doors open to just do so many different things they've never done before. Like, and he's beating the drum about that. I'm sure you guys heard in the lead up to this about how this like for that to happen, like he really just really wanted that to be a success. It's already there. I mean, it's there in spades. These things are flying off the shelves. This has become like a genuine like comics phenomenon.
All right, so on each of the variant covers, each variant cover has the A cover inside. Yep. All right, so I'm not going to go over it in too much detail. I am going to spoil some shit for you. So if you have not read the comic yet, here's where all right, so right now, why that spoiler alert is on there, we're going to be talking spoiler details. I'm not going to spoil it completely, but there are certain aspects of it that you will not have known unless you've read the comic. That if you do not want those aspects spoiled, then go ahead. This is your time to leave. I will remove the spoiler alert once it's safe. I'll like do this. I'll give you some type of signal to where you can come back in if you have not gotten a copy because it's sold out in some places. All right. First thing is Superman arrives on Earth. We haven't seen his arrival yet in this issue. He arrives on Earth. He's not a baby. He's a full-grown man.
I'll be right back.
Okay. Another thing is his parents are not the hierarchy, part of the hierarchy that they are in our normal universes. They're actually workers. The S on his chest, it doesn't mean hope. It's actually a class of workers. It's a worker class that a lot of people are ashamed of, but his parents find a way to make themselves proud of it. He wears a uniform in here that is and that see right there. All right, so there's his father. sweeping. His father's basically, you know, they're just average workers. And if you look at the logos of the upper class that they're working for, that sun symbol and everything like that, that red sun symbol, that's the hierarchy. Those are the people that run shit, and they run it into the ground. And they are miners. Krypton, they're on Krypton, and Krypton is being mined. And that's one of the reasons why it's going to eventually be destroyed. There are people in the society that that are worried about the mining and that it could lead to the planet's destruction, and they don't listen. Now, this story is being told from the point of view of Superman, who's already on Earth at this point. These are flashbacks to his parents. He's telling you about his parents. He's telling you about how they were working class. And here they are telling you, they're showing you some of the things that the mining is causing, those fissures into the ground that you see, all that green there. And Superman, you know, his father, Jor-El, is trying to warn them because he's a worker class and, you know, I don't give a fuck about him. And these are the first warning. He says, Krypton is doomed. So they're a mining culture with certain caste about them, and his family are the lower one. Now we fast forward to Earth. He's in Brazil, and he's amongst a bunch of miners that are being exploited by a big corporation, and the workers are being put in danger. So he basically comes and he shows up and he helps them mine all of it. I mean, he mines it all so that they don't have to face the danger. And that's and now you see the peacemakers there. And what was the villain? The whatever project that's written on the ground, they're responsible for all this. The Lazarus Project. They're behind the mining, they're behind all this. So that's probably how. I don't know quite why they are all looking like they're all wearing peacemaker uniforms. They didn't go into that. But this is him. He hasn't revealed himself yet, but he's been basically watching Earth for a couple of years. And this is where you see him for the very first time when he's talking to one of the miners that he's helping, his connection, and that's him using his X-ray vision. Does not have full control over his powers, and his AI suit, Soul. He wants nothing to do with helping humankind. His entire point is to protect Kal-El. But Superman, and this is another question somebody was asking me about this universe, as far as like it, because it's made of dark side energy, does it make the protagonist and the people that we know evil? No, it does not, because Superman is watching this guy get the hell beat out of him by one of these peacemakers, and you know he intervenes. And he intervenes at the resistance of the AI who's telling him to stop. And there you see Superman for the very first time in the comic, full gear. You can see the design of the suit. That's his energy glowing from his wrist and his waist. So he wipes out all these peacemaker types in the Lazarus Project. Now you can see the Lazarus all over everything. So Lazarus is the big enemy as far as this first five story. And here's him losing control of his powers. Right there, and the AI telling him to slow it down or you're going to lose control. And he ends up wiping out a lot of these guys while he's saving this miner. And there he is. Now he's depowered himself because he's used his powers too much. And there's Lois Lane. She's not quite the Lois Lane, you know. She's working for the Lazarus Project. And Lazarus has an entire army. They have tanks, they have helicopters, they have everything. She tries to put the handcuff on him, and that's how they meet. This is the they decided to use the center page to give you the full title page. This one is called the Last Dust of Krypton, and the color arrangement in here is awesome. And then you have somebody sitting in the Nevada desert, watching everything that's gone down with the miners, saying, "Well, now what do we have here? A scrumptious new toy. Wonder where you came from." I think this is Brainiac. What do you think, Brad?
What's that?
This guy who's watching, What do we have here? Scrumptious new toy. Wonder where you came from. I think that's Brainiac. If you look at the design of
Oh
the
yeah,
character.
that's what I was thinking too. When I read it, yeah.
Yeah, and that's about it. Now, at the end of this part of the story, they go to Central Kansas, and you see the Clints. He has not been raised by the Clint. I got Clint on my mind. I don't know why. Yeah, he's not been raised by the Kents. He arrives, so he doesn't have that upbringing from a baby, and he's very cynical.
That makes me really wonder, like how the Kents, or even if the Kents, will be introduced.
Oh, and here's why. The Kents are probably going to introduce, and here at the bottom, Lazarus. The word Lazarus is everywhere. They are the prevailing enemy in this entire thing. And then this is back to Krypton, and this is his parents. And he actually, in this story, he actually meets his parents. So there they are. So right there, those two, the fact that he never meets the Kents until he's an adult, or he hasn't even met them yet, and the fact that his birth parents are in his life at all, that's two drastically different things.
And then, of course, his cynicism you're talking about too.
Yeah, because he didn't grow up with the opposite, and that's it right there. So then the AEW stuff. This is really good. The color breakdowns are great. I like the way the page breakdowns are great. I like the use of a lot of the greens that they have in here are really good. Green is really a hard, in my opinion, a hard color to master.
Yeah, I think Aaron's asking her, what about Lois?
Yeah, she's here. She works for the Lazarus company. Yeah. She tries to handcuff Superman. That doesn't work out right.
Yeah, that usually doesn't.
Agent Lane. I have him in custody. She thinks she got one handcuff of him. I mean, obviously that turns out how you think it turns out. I don't even need to spoil that for you.
It's basically, unless he's voluntarily, and even then, it's like he'll just walk up to the mirror and say, "Yeah, I'll just break it."
Yeah. So this comic rocks, man, and I like the variant covers.
It's
all great.
Yeah, it has been such a ride so far with Absolute DC. Like I said, I have not been this excited reading like a kind of a new story or a new kind of angle for comics wise for DC or Marvel in probably like a good 8-9 years. I mean, this is just so this will keep me on pins and needles every time they introduce the origin of a new character. And we're like I said, we're gonna have to wait until March to see the next ones, which are Flash and Green Lantern and Martian Manhunter. Which that in itself, like I said, Martian Manhunter, it's pretty. It's pretty infrequent for him to have his own book, so that right there is also kind of an indicator of like just how much of a makeover this is giving to DC proper. And yeah, when I read that, William, I thought, yeah, that's probably what he pointed to there. That's probably what's going to be established as Brainiac.
Which is listen, how fucking hard is it
to put him in a movie?
Bring in Brainiac immediately at the beginning of the story. How hard is it to bring in Brainiac at the beginning of your Superman story?
Yeah.
It's not hard, guys.
Well,
you've given me every other fucking boneheaded enemy. You gave me Doomsday before you gave me Brainiac. That Brainiac, arguably the one of the deadliest enemies that he has, not because of one-on-one, but because what he commands. Now you bring in Brainiac. You want to bring in other people, other whimsical enemies that don't really do much under his command. They have relevancy other than just being created to do something stupid.
And what really would be cool, especially in this day and age? Like, imagine like try Brainiac. Imagine him like tapping into our AI and like getting control of our AI. Like that could be a story in itself. Like Brainiac, if he sees control of our AI.
Oh yeah, he would be. And if you look at what he was doing in Krypton, like I said, say what you want about that show, that Brainiac was scary.
Yeah, it was a good design too.
Yeah, that design was beautiful.
That's the most comic accurate design we've gotten of any Brainiac we've gotten so far.
Yeah. Who's texting me in the middle of the show? It's Lloyd. Lloyd, thanking me for the night. You're welcome, Lloyd. I tried to get him in. He wasn't feeling well. I was going to get we were going to get an interview with Lloyd Kaufman, straight out of Trauma, but he was tired, and I could feel him. He's 20, 30 years older than me, and I am tired. So
and like villains, Brainiac could command Mitzelplick. Mitzelplick, I've never been a fan of Mitzelplick.
He's kind of lame, but tell you what, with Brainiac at the top of the food chain, I could buy that. See, that's what I mean. That's why you didn't need a Doomsday. You had a Brainiac. And you just, he definitely has the means to kill Superman.
I just never latched on to Mitzelplick though.
Well, he's comic relief. He's not.
Yeah, and especially like they had him on Super Friends all the time. They always had like the gimmick of Superman trying to trick him into saying his name backwards. And when I did watch Lois and Clark, they had Howie Mandel on there as Mitzelplick for like the Christmas episode. And we talk about Superman villains. He's a really tough one to kind of sell people on, I think.
We're done talking spoilers when it comes to.
Okay.
By the way, I picked this up today, and
I was like, "Can I come back on the screen now?"
Oh, I'm sorry. I can see you. That's why I'm not.
Yeah, because I felt updating my name thought it'd be appropriate.
Oh, absolute Brad. Oh, finally. Something else I picked up today that's not on the. We've covered the story before. If you're looking for a way to get into Spider-Man, a really deep Spider-Man story, Craven's Last Hunt, I have the trade paperbacks back in. This is probably one of the greatest Spider-Man stories ever written. It took place over 6 issues, and all at the time in 1987 when it was released, there were only 3 main Spider-Man titles: Amazing Spider-Man, Web of Spider-Man, and Spectacular Spider-Man. And usually those books would they would take place in their own separate continuities. They're, all of them in the same reality, but Amazing Spider-Man would have one story going along, and Web of Spider-Man would have another story going along, and they would just run that way. They rarely ever crossed over to each other. But here's one of the covers, and this is the great Mike Zeck, who was one of the ones who revolutionized the Punisher character. There it is, and it came out, and they made it so that every week you had there's a cover right there. Every week you had a Spider-Man part of the story, except for 1 week, because there was 4 weeks in a month, obviously. I think that if you are if you're interested in what's going to be happening, if you're interested in trying to get some background to the character of Kraven, this is an excellent place to and here's the black and white covers. These are all famous covers, by the way. If you are interested in getting some background on this character, this is one of those characters where he's taken so seriously, it's kind of depressing. They did something in this comic book that they generally don't do in this day and era in a mainline comic book, and they had somebody commit suicide. That's like that. The way he did it, he actually took his hunting rifle, and he kills himself because. And here's the Amazing Spider-Man 293, and this is just before Venom. Just imagine this is just before the very next issues would be where they would bring in Venom. Kraven had been haunted because he saw himself as a failure, because the biggest piece of game that he hunted he could never get. He always was being made a fool out of by Spider-Man one way or another. Spider-Man would always outsmart him, and how can I be the world's greatest hunter if I can't get this this target? And how am I I'm a disgrace to the Kravenoff family if I can't get him. So it played on his psyche. So not only did he want to, he didn't want to kill Spider-Man. He just wanted to defeat him. He wanted to destroy everything that Spider-Man was, and he ends up getting Spider-Man's black costume. He ends up shooting him with a tranquilizer and burying him alive. And then he goes about committing crimes as Spider-Man to basically make Spider-Man look like a criminal. And that once he had done that, he was he felt that he had beaten Spider-Man. He had done something that he couldn't do, and that he had nothing left to achieve. And let me show you where Spider-Man eventually gets out. I mean, he has all these dreams and hallucinations and stuff. He eventually gets out from that hole, and he tracks Kraven down. And just as he gets to Kraven, let me see. It shows you. he fights him, but he's already saying, you know what, I've already beaten you. You can't undo this defeat. And what he does, let me see if I showed you. Like I said, this is not something that they did back in the 80s because it was very graphic. And then if you read Spider-Man #1, this story, Torment, that comes out about 3 years later, they actually show Craven again, and he has his head where the gunshot wound took out of his head. That was it. They actually show it. Tom McFarlane to it. This is him shooting himself and falling into his casket. He had set up his casket to kill himself. One of the best Spider-Man stories ever written. It holds up today. It's been 20? So how many years? Almost
30 me.
34 years. Well, no, it was born. How old are you?
37. So
it came out that you were born in 87.
Okay, so it's as old as me.
It's as old as you.
Wow.
So it still holds
Craven
up.
is my age.
Yeah. Well, that story is Craven the Last Hunter was all right. So
real quick on that, because with the Craven movie coming up, it's like I kind of get the idea. It's like we're both looking forward to it. On the level, definitely on the level. Like, he's just going to be just massacring dudes. And it looks pretty good, but I kind of get the impression that's like they're kind of doing like a Craven's Last Hunt adaptation minus Spider-Man. So I kind of wonder, like, well, how's that gonna? It's Sony. You got to put a Spider-Man movie or a Spider-Man.
I want to find out the rules of the contract, the type of thing.
Yeah.
Because like I said, I really want to find out because I hear rumors all the time.
Yeah, because it'd be. I mean, they could save some face on like Madam Web if they could make reveals. Like there's all kinds of stuff we weren't allowed to do. It would just boil down to the contract. It's like, oh, well, that's why that movie turned out into such a shit sandwich.
Yeah, I wish they would. I wish they would because I'm not. Really...
Thank you, Vince. I try to. I mean, I get that a fair amount. So, do I? Where would you guys?
Erin doesn't look like she's 30. Erin is 36. She's 1 year younger than you.
We have good genes because we're siblings.
You look at her little face. You want to just take her little cheek and go, "Come here."
we have good genes. We're siblings. Yeah. Yeah. See.
That's what I'm saying. Erin is 36.
Oh man, I'm 40. Yeah. I do not look 47. Come on, man.
Yeah, Brad, Vince, you look 40. No, I'm just kidding. Nobody really looks their age. So.
Yes, man. Hey, guys, like, how old would you have guessed if I hadn't told you guys? How old do you think? Because that is kind of a point of personal pride for me if I can still look like I'm in my 20s.
Still getting all the young chicks. Huh? All
so
right.
I think that about covers all the topics, though, right?
One last one. And that is the rumor. Now, clarification. I think a lot of the rumor madness got messed up because when people said that, you heard the rumors that James Gunn his DCU is influenced by New Frontier. People, yeah. What's up?
Influenced by New Frontier, yeah.
Yeah. People misconstrued that a little bit as to say that he's making that's his Justice League movie. No, they had to debunk that a little bit. He is influenced by it, and it's a good thing to be. I look for more copies today. It is a good thing to be influenced by. Why can't I get any?
Dude, all that crap at the bottom there.
The way it looks on StreamYard. Yeah. Here we go. We're just gonna go to Twitter.
And he hasn't even given an indication he's in a Justice League per se. Like at all. We don't.
Yeah, and I don't think it's time. So, we've covered this on this show. DC New Frontiers is. If somebody walks into the store and says, "I want to get into DC as a genre. I like the Justice League. I'm familiar with these characters. Where do I jump on?" And the reason I don't have it sitting here anymore is because I've done it. I've put those books out there, and I when I answer that question by handing them the book. It's just like when somebody comes in and says, "Well, I need a definitive Batman story." Well, for me, the definitive Batman story is The Dark Knight Returns. So I have right in front of this computer, you can't see it from here, I have all the go-tos, the jumping on points, so that a brand new person or a person who's been away for a while can jump in. But a brand new person who only knows these IPs through cartoons and movies, this is what I hand them. I hand them this. Is it coming up there? Oh, no, hold on.
No, it's coming up yet.
Yeah, I hand them Frontiers. Now, like I said, I should I'll find the link to when because we covered this. We covered this, and we covered it in detail because I actually had the book with me. I don't have it in right now, but DC Frontiers is basically the telling of the forming of the DC universe in linear time. So they're basically in the 60s. They're basically in the 50s and 60s, and they are happening. So Green Lantern appears to us as Hal Jordan would the year he did, as he would appear to us. Superman, I mean, all these guys are appearing. He's been around forever. Batman, but the rest of them are appearing, and you see them, NASA. You see the government is looking for the Flash. NASA is engaging with Green Lantern. You have Martian Manhunter here. So it's reflective of those times and how they would form. Looking at this picture, Metamorpho is in this picture. Which is lame. A lot of the characters that James Gunn would probably use, he got Supergirl is in it. So I can see where he's happening. I need to know that he's not using JLI, but unfortunately, I can see that from the set pictures that he is. So him going with the DCU, going with New Frontiers, is to me it helps me sell comics. All right, it helps me sell comics, and it helps me sell Metro's over there. Yeah, see, Metro went over to that parking lot, right? So these stupid asses came over here now. You think Metro's not going to come over here and fuck you guys? But yeah, so not only is he being influenced by this, but it is the comic book that. So if somebody comes in based on this news, I don't have to, if let's say want to buy a stack that's going to bankrupt them, I can hand them this book, this trade paperback. It's like, here you go, dude. Or I can send them a link to HBO Max. And then you can watch that. If you don't want to read, if you just want to watch it on the screen, the movie, we've done the movie here, is excellent.
Yeah.
It will serve the same purpose as the book does for you. So wanted to throw that out there. All right, at this point, anybody got any by the way, I brought this up, but if you have any thoughts about it and you're not a troll, please leave your some of your comments in the comment section. I don't think we've been using the comment section enough. Yeah, it's great to be live, guys, but most of you are going to watch the show long, after it airs. So, leave me some comments I can just, respond to, because lately, I've been getting bullshit and stupid stuff. Hey, you're talking about. I can tell you don't. Some guy typed in, "I can tell you don't know anything about comic books." And this wasn't in response to a show at the house where I just got wrestling belts sitting behind me.
You're from
I'm
the comic book.
literally sitting in the midst of comic books. Everywhere I turn, behind me, they're there. You're going to tell me we didn't agree on a particular thing. That doesn't mean we don't know anything. I don't know anything.
You've been running a comic book store since what, 95?
95. A little bit before that, actually, because my entire adult life, I have never drawn an adult breath on this planet without being an owner of a comic book store. And I'm old now. So yeah, that was hilarious. So yeah, if you're gonna put stuff in it, let's put some thought-provoking, engaging topics, responses in there. So I would love to carry on the conversation. Not the stupid ones I've had to delete, but real conversations that made me think, hey, you know what? You brought up a good point type of situation. So,
yeah.
All right.
That is funny, though. It's pretty funny.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And as Aaron says, you own a damn comic book store. It's like you're being told you don't know.
All right, guys. And there are some owners, like I said, back in the 90s, you would have owners that opened up just to make cash because of all the speculative buying, and they opened up and they wanted to sell you Lady Death and all these other chromium covers and everything else. And when the market, they didn't know anything.
Well, these days, you're expected to be have knowledge of what you're selling. So,
and by the way, off topic, totally. One of the main reasons why I have a lot of disdain for The Simpsons.
Oh, really?
Everybody thinks that fucking clown behind the counter, that's what we are. Thanks a lot.
Well, he's
the dude with the shirt all the way up to here. And he just looks like the stereotypical. I hate that. Every time I saw that, I'm like, you know what? God damn it.
Well,
he would come to my store. Oh, I didn't think a comic book store would look like this. I thought it'd be like the guy up the Simpsons. I'm like, choked them.
Well, he is very he has a good vocabulary. I give him that.
I'm like, that is not. And then there'd be other ones where, and I hate TV shows. I think, and I'm not a biggest fan of this movie, but whatever the Simpsons goofiness took away from our prestige, damn it, Chasing Amy helped. That movie helped. That movie made that shit cool. That movie made the shit cool, man. And then other things will come along, but that Simpson one, I hate that perception of us. I'm like, because I know that for every 5 of us that never look like that, there's one guy that does, and you're gonna walk into that store and you're gonna see that guy. Oh, that's the guy from the Simpsons. No, it's not. We don't look like that.
Well, not only that, but I mean, it's like for up until like 05. I mean, you were owning a store at the same time. You were also a reservist. So
yeah, up until 2012, I was.
2012. Okay. So yeah.
While I was deployed, by the way, you want to learn how before the internet was what it was now. I had a worker here and I was on 12 hours or 10 hours difference or whatever we were at.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. Like, how did that work when you were deployed? Like, how did you keep the place going?
So I had a camera, just like we're doing now, but not like we would just I'd have the camera set up on the computer. I forgot how we would have our little chat room opened up and all that. I forgot what we were using at the time. I designed and built because we back then you only had the internet cafe. And you had like 10 computers for like a battalion of people. I'm like, fuck this. I am not going anywhere. My biggest dread at that time is going somewhere and I couldn't get online because I did a lot even back then. I'm like, I don't want to, I can't do that. Well, you're gonna have to soldier up and go without the internet, that kind of internet for you. And I'm like, I will not. I will absolutely not. So we and my Sergeant McWilliams, he was
Clint who was running the store. Oh man, it's a miracle you're still in business.
No, he wasn't. No, Clint wasn't. I knew Clint then, but not that way. I had a girl that was working there. What we did is me and my buddy, we ordered pieces from his satellite, Hayes satellite service set, which was called a company out of Greece. And they sent us all the pieces, and I constructed a satellite dish. I had a tent, right? And outside of my tent was a huge satellite dish. And man, it was hard. I rolled all the Cat 5 cable. I put the LMB on. I got everything going, right? I hooked up the modem, and I had what was called a crossover cable. So because in order to go from a modem to LMB, you have to reverse the signal. So I did that, built all that. Man, okay, so I'm like, okay, we're about to go. I mean, I got this going. I rolled all the stuff. I couldn't find the signal. And I'm out in the middle of the desert, in the middle of nowhere. And the sky, I literally have the sky to anybody. And they would give me the coordinates. And so at the bottom of the base, we had the graph so that you could aim the satellite, right? So they would give you the coordinates. They would give you where it needed to be aiming, or what angle it needed to be aiming, and up and out. Yeah, I'm like, dude, I'm an idiot. I don't know math. You guys help me out here. And then they would send these little graphs. I'm like, okay, cool. All right, got it. I shit you not, I had a wrench out there in the middle of the night because if you didn't have the difference between you getting a signal was this much. If you didn't aim that LMB where the satellite was directly and line it up, you were not getting anything. So it took me a day and I had to tap. And then you'd see the modem lights light up, tap, and then they would go dead. I'm like, tap.
Sounds like the Flintstones kind of shit.
It felt like it, but it was modern technology. It was the highest tech, and we lined it up. We got at that time in 2005, 50 meg download in 2005 was fast, pretty much anywhere.
Yeah, times have changed.
We had the fastest internet. We had faster internet than anywhere else. So what we did is we would take the modem and we took the router, and these routers are different back then. So I lined up a router. So I had another crossover cable coming back this way, and it was like spaghetti. And then I would take the router and put parrot gains to boost the signal. The entire camp was paying us for internet. And then the Army got mad because they're like, well, this is uncontrolled internet. Because, okay, we are monitoring our internet and our sub, and you got this off the grid shit. And they're like, well, how do we know people who have classified whatever aren't getting in there? And I'm like, listen, you're S2. If you want, you guys have free access. I'm not even going to charge you. Should charge your asses.
Yeah, you could have made a fortune off of that, man.
But I'm like, okay, we charge everybody else. So we had like 26
Okay, so
people on
you
it.
probably came home with some money in your pocket then.
Yeah. So what we did is we let the S2 on it, and he can monitor it. I'm like, hey, listen, there's got to be guys on there for porn. That's right, you know. And it was outlawed in the Army, and I'm like, listen, let's be realistic.
It's not the most private place, I would imagine, too.
You have men and women 10,000 miles away from their wives, with other females and males here that are not part of their marriage. You got your options. You let them do that, or we start dealing with adultery and charges and all that. So they let that go, but they monitored it, and we ended up. I ended up even moving it because we got moved to Kuwait towards the end of our deployment, and I had to move all that shit. So the Navy came in to take over our SOP, our base of operations. I remember being asleep. And if you've ever been in an open bay in the Army and sleeping, it's hard to find people. So I remember the flashlight being woken up 3 o'clock in the morning. 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm tired.
You're in a war zone.
Yeah, and they opened up, they put a light in my face, and they're like, "You Sergeant Powell?" I'm like, "Yes." And I'm like, "Oh, fuck. What have I done? What have I done?" I made it through this deployment without any paperwork. Now here we go. And it's like, "You the one who built the system?" I'm like, "Yes." Like, "Can you come with us?" And I'm like, "Yeah, dude, I'm in my little Army, not pajamas. We had the PT uniforms, and I walk out, and I drew up everything. This is what I did. And they're looking at me like, "Fuck it. How much do you want for it?" And we were at the end of our deployment. So the Navy, the Department of the Navy, gave them the money for their recreation fund, and they purchased that shit from us. So we didn't have to take it down, dismantle it. But that is how I kept in contact with the store. So I was working graveyard at first. I was working overnight. So during my shift, I had access. So we had a Humvee, and I had a Paragame, which is boost your signal. So we had my laptop while we were driving around in the Doom Bucky. We would park somewhere, and we would bring it up. So I would be talking to my employee at the time. So it was daytime here while I was working nighttime here for the most of my deployment.
And that's like a year you were doing that, right?
Yeah, that was a year in country. So yeah, it worked out. It worked out, and I'm a night owl anyway. So that's how I did it. But yeah, those are good times.
Wow, man, that is quite a what Aaron's asking. They
didn't want you fucking out there like that because it's fraternization.
Yeah, because I mean the Army and having grown up under a guy who went up to master sergeant, having like a whole lot of soldiers in my family, it's like one thing you learn, even being on the sidelines in a military family, the armed forces, the U.S. Armed Forces are definitely believers in the saying, "Don't shit where you eat."
Yeah.
So
yeah, because when it goes bad, oh my God, you get in a relationship and you're working, you're literally in each other's space. You're stepping over each other. You're literally sleeping in the tent. I mean, you work 12 hours a day, 14 hours a day with each other. You eat with each other. You go home or you go back to the S pod with each other. You're work. I mean, you can't get away from somebody if things go bad. If there's a bad breakup or something like that, you're not going anywhere. They're not sending you home. So now you're miserable over there.
Like put it this way, like extramarital activities. It's like, don't, in a civilian setting probably wouldn't have workplace consequences. In the military, they absolutely do.
No, yeah, because if you commit adultery in the military, that's a crime. You can actually be charged with it, and a lot of it's crime because especially
you can be dishonorably discharged.
Yep, you can be you got bad conduct. You don't want that. Yeah, you don't want that. So all right, guys.
Well, not like when it comes to this, like philosophically on this issue, they are definitely not.
No, it's a universal code of military justice, period. There is no Army regulation that covers that, no Navy regulation that covers that, and no Air Force regulation that covers that. That is a universal code of, a crime like that is a crime in all. That's why they call it the universal code of universal code of military justice. So yeah, you don't want to fuck around. There's certain things where you just don't want to do, and like I said, they were doing it over there. So
like I said, so I mean, because I get the sales pitch you made about, like, listen, you got people married with or significant others back home. Let's give them an outlet. It's like,
and they're like, we hope you're not. We hope the people that you're supplying this to are not using it for porn. I'm like, I hope they are.
Well, I mean,
you know what? Because I don't want to. Because I don't want to see them disappear and get chaptered out because some chick that they thought was hot, because we called it deployment hot, and I'm not making. We called it deployment hot because when you're in a certain place and you're restricted, everything starts looking good on both sides. So now you start making decisions that are bad decisions because you don't have that outlet. You know what?
Yeah, but I mean, it's not the most private place in the world though. So it's like, and I'm not gonna like ask for details of on like how dudes manage that side of things.
Well, I mean, the desert is big.
Okay.
I'll just tell you that. The desert
Okay,
is big.
that covers it then.
And you know what? Most time, people would keep to themselves. Something could be happening in the tent next to you. It's like you're dealing with the stress of being away from home. You got your own issues to deal with. If you're not in their chain of command, you're like, fuck it.
Well, and the other thing too, I guess, yeah, I should sometimes I just feel like some of these days I should bring my dad on the show because he's like my favorite story he shared about the first Gulf War was the whole story with the piss bottles.
That's that. Listen. 2-3 o'clock in the morning, you're tired. Sometimes it's either super duper hot, or in a lot of cases, for about it's super duper cold.
Yeah,
you're in your PT gear and you're heated.
And we have to go to the bathroom. It's like your command officer is telling you, okay, you got to get your uniform on, get your weapon, get everything set because you're in a war zone. And the soldiers thinking, from their perspective, okay, when you got to go, you got to go. So
even if you're not even just putting on your shoes, because you may be in a place, you got these outhouse thingamajiggies. You're not always talking about some of them have the bathrooms, right? They have the little trailer with the bathrooms on it, right? In the showers. Where you're at, of course, because it's an army, is never where you need to be. So even if you just you're wearing your PT gear, which was our army shirt and our little shorts and flip flops or whatever, you gotta walk quite a considerable way either way. So it's like, fuck it. So they used the Gatorade bottle. It was Gatorade bottle.
He said within days of it was like they had this piss bottles that was rolling around everywhere. So.
Yeah, you dump them. My favorite part was because it was a dry deployment. No drugs, no alcohol, no nothing, right? Okay. By the time we got to deployment, everybody in the sound of my voice and the sight of my face knew I never even tasted alcohol to this day. To this day, as I sit here, I don't know what this shit tastes like. Okay. Why the fuck are you waking me up at 2, 3, and 4 in the morning to drug test me? Why is there a dog sniffing at my face, sniffing for shit I don't have? I don't have this shit. We're looking for alcohol. We're looking for contraband that I don't have. And I figured out, and they admitted why. Because it was easy. They could just do it. They could check off the mark and they could get over it. They knew I wasn't going to pop hot. They knew I could pee on a dime. Dude, they would get these cats. It's 3 o'clock in the morning. You should be able to pee as soon as you stand up straight at that point.
Yeah.
I don't care how old you are. So you would have these cats that would be like, taking an hour or shit. I can't pee. I'm nervous. Come on. And we would all have to go in at the same time, and we'd all be monitored. So I can't go back to bed until this guy pees. I'm like, dude, what's the problem? I'm nervous. What are you nervous about? You're just peeing. I'm not asking you to aim through a ring, and you're not getting your guidance. Just pee. I gotta go back to bed because you didn't get that allowance back. If you had to be up at 5 a.m. in the morning, they didn't fucking care. You got a half hour of sleep. Fuck them. You're on detail after that. So I'm like, you guys drag me into this shit every fucking time, and I'm not. And then they would make the announcements at the formation right at the end of the day. Oh, by the way, there may or may not be a surprise inspection or a drug test. And I'd be like, fuck you guys, you know what that means. And I would look at them
there's
like,
going to be one.
Goddamn, what does it mean? So I'd be sleeping light. One day I was just sitting waiting for them. They go, and I just, let's go. Let's fucking go. And then, like I said, there were the dogs coming out of tents with big old jars of fucking liquor that they got from the Polands because you were on the same right. And I'm like, dude, the dogs are running out with cigarette, everything that we ain't supposed to have, and you guys are fucking with me every day. I'm like, leave me alone. I hated that. I'm like, it was like, well, we just want to get it done. We get it done, but we know you're not going to pop hot. Well, then you just leave me in bed and mark it off. None of my drug tests have ever.
Pee on a dime. That's good aim. That is very good aim.
No, it's not that hard, but especially when you're being woken up. One of the first
he's talking about peeing on a actual dime.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, some of these guys acted like that's what they had to do, and I'm like, you woke me up for this shit. And like I said, it was always they did it like they were like Rambo and shit. I'm like, they'd make the we're doing a health and welfare inspection and screaming. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? And then the dog's coming in. Dog always comes straight to me. I'm like, Dude, I know for sure, dog, that there's pot in here. I know for sure there's all kinds of shit in here. I know everything in here that your doggy nose is supposed to be sniffing out is surrounding me, and you came to me. So now they're coming to me. So you got anything that the dog? No, I don't have anything that fucking dog would want. Unless you put it there, get out of here with that shit. But that was deployment, man. Like I said, it's like, getting sleep was hard because, you're in there with all these people. And then, I was lucky enough to, we had a snorer in our tent and we got rid of him. Yeah, I can't do snoring, man. I cannot do the snoring. So we found he got reassigned. Let's just say that. Can a person, as long as they are not in a chain of command, like we could, you could be in another branch and we could still be working. We had command and control over certain area units. So like a Navy captain can't be going out with a petty officer if they're in the chain of command. Now, if they are not in the same command, then you could do it, but otherwise it's fraternization. So
I think I would think also this would be kind of complicated if you have like somebody you're in the Army and they're in the Air Force or whatever. It could also get complicated because like you guys, you're gonna have like different, your deployments are gonna be like on totally different timelines. Like
generally that's a problem. But here's the thing though, for most people's military career, up until 2001, you didn't have deployments like that. We were in maritime, we were in peacetime. If you joined the Army in 1975. Your first taste of war was in 1991.
Yeah, my dad enlisted in, I think it was 83 is when he enlisted.
Okay, so he wasn't, we were in no active deployments like that, and full on mobilizations.
And by the way, he initially was going to be a reservist, and then they taught him into fully enlisting. So he told my mom, it's like he went down to the recruitment office saying, okay, I'm going to enlist to be in the reserves, and he came back and he was like, okay, it's the full shebang I'm doing, and he kind of surprised her with that. So it
was listen, all races woke me up during the night to do that shit because they wanted to go to bed and they wanted to get it over with. It was uncomfortable because it's your fellow soldiers. You didn't want to pop somebody because you could fuck up their career. This is your friends and you're in. So what they did is they went to the guy or group of guys that they knew was a complete square. They knew they were not going to find anything on me. They knew they weren't going to find any liquor on me. They weren't going to find any drugs or alcohol in my system. And so they were like, we did it. And they would say it was random, but I'm like, this is really fucking normal random. It's me again. Like, and one time it was like, within the course of like 3 months, I got like, I got it like every month or every 2 times. I'm like, what are you doing? And they're like, it is random, Sergeant Powell. No, it's not. But and I knew there were people that were stumbling out of their tent. You could smell the weed. I'm like, what are you doing? But they didn't want to get them because, like I said, it's not right, but I understand. And then I'm like, you know what? Fuck you, man. And then I would just cash in on favors. I'm like, oh, I got to do what? I got to guard what? Hey, wait a minute. Yeah. You want to wake me up again? Next time I'm just going to throw up on you. So, so no, there was all kinds of people. No, we don't know stories. No story. You just have to be treated for it though. Yeah. If you're diagnosed with apnea, you have to be treated for it.
Yeah, my uncle, I have an uncle who he was in the Navy. I don't think he had sleep apnea at the time, but he does now. But I guess you just have to be treated for it.
Yeah, generally before the war, if you were diagnosed with it, and we had the luxury of not needing a bunch of soldiers, then they would say, nah, we're going to pass you. But once the war happened and nobody wanted to serve like that. Not nobody, but a lot of people were like, we had a lot of reserves. It took my unit. I got kidnapped into the unit I was because a bunch of people got their orders and decided to go hide. And like, and then I was out of the Army. I was
you basically got stop lost. Yeah,
I was out when they did that. So they went and they were so bare bones by the time they got me that they held the unit. The unit was held over for a full solid month until we backfilled the unit. So I was one of those people. And like I said, they put the sack over my head. I woke up at Fort Lewis.
I'm sure it did.
Did you?
Were there other soldiers that you were serving with who were also into comics?
Oh yeah, I was selling comics.
Yeah. Well, I imagine, especially today. I mean, now.
Oh yeah, it's big. It's big. And then the PX and the base. I was able to be honest with you. I was able to keep up with a lot of my titles that I was into, that I was personally reading because the base.
Yeah, but the shop at one, man, that's a little spin rack. That was
Well,
not viable.
The one that was in overseas though had a lot more because they realized that we couldn't go anywhere. Where were we going to go?
Because again, we were sent to Italy. We were originally going to be sent to Korea. Then it was going to be Germany, and then finally Italy. I'm telling you, man, it's like Germany. It's like because I've been to Ramstein Air Force Base probably 7 or 8 times. Maybe even 10 times while we were there. It's like I'm telling you, it's like the bases that they have for the Army, and it's like William says, like the Army will find the armpit or whatever place is, and Italy has a lot of armpits.
Italy has armpits. I didn't know they had because you told me we're going to Italy. Wow, we're going to AT. We're going to Italy, and I'm like, obviously, I'm gondolas, like little hats and stuff like that. I mean, romance, hot chicks everywhere. Italian coffee. Crap. No.
Have you been to Aviano?
Yeah, I'll be on the airbase.
Yeah, Aviano, and so you know that the airport, because we flew back home one time.
That's the only beauty you're going to see, depending.
Yeah, we took a trip back.
You land there.
Yeah, we flew back home. We didn't fly when we came back. We were taking a trip back home 2 times, and we left from that airport. And that airport is like, I mean, it's like the size of like a post office.
Well, how long did you have to drive? You showed me the pictures.
Aviano was, I think it was about 40 minutes to an hour from Vicenza. So
okay, I can't even remember where the fuck they stuck us. it doesn't exist. How about that? We drove for 3 hours to get to somewhere that I didn't think was anywhere.
Yeah,
and we landed at Aviano. Aviano is like, okay, when you get there, you're like, all right, hey, they didn't.
Yeah, it's an airport the size of a post office.
Yeah, but it's in Aviano's a nice. I mean, all right, I can dig it. All right, this is all the suffering. We're finally it's gonna come through. Then you realize you're getting further and further away from what you think is Italy.
Yeah.
And same thing with Germany. Oh, I was born in Germany. I'm like, I can't wait to get back there, bro. I get to go where I was born.
Oh, I would take Germany over as far as like the location of the bases and like the quality of the base. I would take Germany over Italy any day.
Okay, then you're insane. Because I'm you land there, you land around Ramstein, you're getting on the Autobahn, and all of a sudden we're not stopping. And I'm like, where the fuck are we going? And then I realized once we got there. And every soldier that I ever talked to, I had a customer, a former first sergeant that came in here last week, and he knew exactly. I didn't even need to finish my sentence before he said, "You went to K-Town, didn't you?" Yes. Heiserstadt in Germany. No offense to anybody that lives there. If you grew up there, and that's no offense. Yeah. But I was lied to. A German citizen was lied to about, hey, this is going to be a great Tuesday. You're going to be able to go see this and go to see that. Yeah, you let us loose, but where the fuck are we? It's like saying, hey, we're going to drop you on the moon, but you can see the Earth. Sure, I can.
It dropped you on the dark side of the moon.
My good Lord.
Larry, no. I'm sorry. No, I was never in the military. My father was, though, and a lot of people in my family. I have a cousin who was. My uncle was in the Navy. Both my grandfathers served. So I have I have a lot of family. It's been
same here. I'm the only one that did.
And that's a fairly common thing with if you people who grow up in the military. It's like it tends to be kind of like almost like a little bit like a family. There's a lot of family history of military service. So
you because it sets an example. It sets an example. Like if your dad is in it, or if your uncle, someone you look up to, is in it, and it did them well, it's an easy choice, No.
Well, it depends on, again. Is it the Outback or is it Sydney?
Okay. If you're going with the Air Force, we're going to Melbourne, we're going to Sydney, we're going to places where things live that aren't.
I didn't know we had bases in Australia.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we're part of the Five Eyes.
Yes.
But if it's the Army, you are probably going somewhere where you're going to need your weapon to fend off whatever is around there. The Army, I'm horrified. I would be horrified to go on AT with, we're going to Australia. Oh, okay. And I'm automatically, my stereotypes about Australia, it doesn't matter. The Army will surpass whatever stereotype of death and fear that I have, because we're getting stuck out there. Oh, we got plenty of land out here to bomb stuff out there. Why?
All the jokes we make on here about kangaroos, the Army will base you next to kangaroos.
Yeah, and then let's set up camp here because there's nothing around, because we need a lot of space. Of course, nobody wants to come out here. So, but yeah, it's there's some issues. Favorite MRE was roast beef. Not because of the roast beef, because roast beef was absolutely dry and disgusting. but it would usually have these other things to it. Like, they'd have the big crackers in it, they'd have the desserts in it, they'd have the little MRE heaters in it. So usually by the time I got from deployment, these things were really advanced. We would make MRE bombs, which is basically getting a 2-liter and then putting the MRE heater, and you throw it and it would make a loud boom. We would get in a lot of trouble for that.
I think
we would get privates like E1s and E2s. We would get I've shared this before.
Yeah,
these crackers that are in an MRE.
Oh, those things will survive a nuclear winter.
Could stop a 40 caliber. They're big. You get 2 of them, and they are dry as fuck. So what we would do is we would get some soldier, be like, "Hey, come over here, man." And soldier, we want to impress us. You go, "Hey, NCOs."
Yeah, the hazing with the MREs.
We're like, we want you to eat this cracker. Just only one, because 1 to 2 of them you can't do. That would be no water.
God forbid they break a tooth on that thing.
No water. No, they weren't hard. They were just once the saliva got with them.
Yeah.
It was like cement. You
Yeah.
couldn't move your jaw anymore. We're like, you drink it without, we'll give you $20. You drink it without water.
Did anybody do it? Did anybody pull it off?
Some of them would, but then it would get kind of dangerous because now you're gonna check.
Yeah.
Do that shit. But then we had these bars, these candy bars that literally look like a cardboard. It looked like it tastes great, but man, there was so much rich whatever in them, they would jam up your system. And that was a problem with MREs, is that they were meant for you to give you as many calories because you were going to be in a place that you.
I remember asking my dad about that because when the second Iraq War started, I remember they were I forget who it was. It was like did like that end segment on 60 Minutes, and he was he opened up an MRE because he was doing a thing where it's like, oh, let's see how our soldiers are eating, and he opened up an MRE on, and it was one of those ones. My favorite one was it was the one he showed us, the one that had like the it had a little squeeze pack with spaghetti in it, and
that cheese that you could use to glue a plane part back on. Yeah, that shit was great.
Yeah, it had that. It had cheese crackers and the cheese spread. It had a little packet of coffee in it. It had
that coffee that it'll keep you woke.
Yeah, and and it had a couple of things. It had I think it had shit. What did it have? It had some
hot sauce. People love that hot sauce.
It had hot sauce.
Hot sauce, man.
I remember asking my dad about that. It's like it's real. So they're like the stuff. Why are they putting that kind of? What's the kind of the reason behind that? And he told me it's like, yeah, the stuff they're putting in MREs, you're in a war zone, so they want the soldiers to like have as many calories as they can.
There's a downside to that. What goes in must come down.
Yeah, it's true.
Wow, we would be out unless we had to eat those motherfuckers. If we were in garrison, or if we were like doing a drill weekend or something like that, and they would give us MREs because we were out at the range. Everybody was like, we'll eat this some other time when we're near a bathroom that we can actually use. I didn't want to be eating an MRE and have that shit because you never know when it's going. You never know. All of a sudden, everything's okay. But then
when it comes out, it's like that Dumb and Dumber toilet scene.
It's hard. It's hard. It doesn't want to leave. Although, without being graphic, it doesn't. It leaves by the kind of force that you're not expecting your food to be leaving in, because that shit does not break down. It does not break down the way.
Like I said, it'll survive a nuclear winter.
Yeah, it's meant to stay in your system so that you can draw nuclear. So if you're out there for a long time and you're burning off things, it's better because you're burning it off. But if you're in garrison or you're somewhere where you're not necessarily at that high tempo, it's like I said, you are shitting out a brick, and that's what it feels like. That's what it feels like. Listen, I'm sorry, it is solid and it's hard and it's bad. But they tasted fine. It's just
it wasn't like
you could feel like, oh shit.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing with that 60-minute segment. I mean, he kind of he seemed to be kind of going from this the thesis of, he thought, okay, we're just sort of feeding our soldiers junk, but it's like, again, like it's like I'd had plenty of MREs. It's like, yeah, that'll keep you full. I mean,
people want them from me. People, hey, can you bring me an MRE? I'm like, what is wrong with you?
Yeah. Well, just tell them about the pros and the cons of it, please.
I'm like, well, I got a toilet at the house. I'm like, all right, cool. If you don't have to be anywhere, then but don't eat them we had to eat them on the run. We had to do shit. And like, oh man. And then you would know when somebody was getting it. Like, they start doing this. This is the pose. Because you're not nauseous, but you can feel, when it's not to happen. Yeah. And when it's not going to be just your normal number 2. You're going in there and you're leaning back because you got to reposition yourself.
Like it's a Dumb and Dumber toilet scene.
Yeah, you gotta like. It's not gonna be just regular sit down, couple of minutes, and the next guy comes in. No, you might have to do some stretches because that shit formed a rock in your asshole, and it was coming out exactly like that. And we would have these outhouses, and we knew when we saw somebody come in, we didn't even line up. You know how you line up to use the restroom? We were like, we know you're going in there, and we know it's gonna be a while, so we just waited. Like I said, but those things were, oh man, those things were hard. They would tear them up.
I haven't had I haven't had the MREs in probably like 20 years, but man, it's like that's bringing back some memories.
Oscar Mike. I'm not familiar with that. I know. I mean, Oscar. That's phonetic alphabet. I'm not familiar with that.
Oh well, this surprises no one. Aaron, it's like we have a Vegemite ramen.
I live from the down. Okay, 7 bottles. Yeah, there would be guys, and they had these cakes. They had these nice little cakes in there. But like I said, it was like we were playing. What is that? That Minecraft. Everything was square and hard. So even the cakes taste good. It took like too much work to eat them. I'm like, by the time I finished chewing that and swallowing it and getting it through my system, I was like, wow, I know it tasted great.
I see. The thing about it is like the MREs. Anybody who's never had them, it's like they come in these packets that are like probably about this big and like this way and this wide this way, and they're about that thick. So they stuff a lot in there. They got a lot in there. When you'd open them up, we would sit around, we would do trading pieces because and they had these little flat cakes that were like really, really good. And I was like, here, you want my hot sauce? I would be trading. The MRE that I would start out with was not what I would end up with. By the time I got down the line, we all had different shit. And it didn't matter. Sometimes you could choose. Other times they just threw one at you. So if you didn't want eggs au gratin, did too fucking bad. You either got it and you switched it up with somebody. And I didn't even know what eggs au gratin was until I got in the Army. I'm like, what is this? And then you'd have breakfast on. Some of them were really good. And then you could cook them. You had the thing, you could cook them, and you had the coffee, and you had the cup. You had your canteen cup and the coffee cup, and then they had that juice powder, which is like, man, it had to be all the sugar in the world was given to the Department of Defense because that shit was sweet as fuck. But it was concentrated, so you could keep it over time. So yeah, you'd be walking around in the cargo pockets where you had two. They would give you, if you were at the range, they would give you 2 MREs, one for lunch, one for dinner. They would give you what's called the field hot. Sometimes the field hots, I would prefer the MREs because even though the field hot was like a hot cooked meal, I don't know what it was that they thought we were going to survive off of. When I eat a dinner, I need to eat, motherfucker. Yeah, it's kind of the opposite.
Like giving you, remember those little paper plates with the little sections on them?
Yeah.
I'm like, you're not even giving me enough to fill a little section, homie.
Yeah, it's kind of the opposite of an MRE.
But so the MRE, you were not going to starve. You ate that MRE, you weren't going like, fuck, man, now what do I do? No, you're going to be like, I ate that MRE. Now we know it's coming. Let's stay near to certain places. So.
Yes, they would have like little. A lot of times they have like Snickers bars.
Yeah, they have a chocolate bar that, like I said, I could have beaten the shit out of you with. It was really hard, and getting that chocolate off it, that shit wouldn't even melt. You know how hard it was? Yeah. Those things wouldn't even melt in the desert.
Yeah,
you can keep one in your pocket. That shit wouldn't even melt in 100-degree heat.
Everything inside of an MRE, I'm telling you, everything inside of an MRE is just like a solid, just like it's just like a solid, like perfect square.
Potato. Yeah, we had potatoes au gratin was really good because you got these big scalloped potatoes and you opened it up and it even smells good. MRE smelled. Yeah. That's one thing. They all smelled good. It's like they wanted you to eat this shit and it was good food. It was like, but like I said, you had to have a soldier body to eat that shit because you know you had to.
It's like it was a paperweight, starting. It was a paperweight coming out.
Coming out, man. If it tasted good and you enjoyed that MRE, good. I'm glad you did because there's a price. All right, guys, that's about it. I hope I haven't grossed everybody out with these MRE.
We gotta do this. I love these nights when we have like military stories. With the family for Thanksgiving, it's like maybe I'll like bring my dad on, like see if he has anything he wants to share because
he's old school. He was in before me. He got in when they were.
He probably. I'm gonna tell him about the whole.
Ask him if he graduated basic when they beat the shit out of you.
Yeah. I know he shared some stories. He shared this one story he told me about, or this he told me about the one guy in basic because when he enlisted, he was like 33 or 32 or 33.
He was much older than
me. Yeah, he was kind of like the elder statesman of like the new guys coming in. So he was Yeah, he told me it was like he was more predisposed. He understood like drill sergeants. They're just playing mind games with you. It's like when they're really aggressive, he understood not to take it personally or not to take it like a real, not to get a spear broken by it. But
it was all mind games because it's 90% mental.
Yeah, but he's told me about there's this one kid who the drill sergeant like gave him like he just scolded he admonished him for something and he just kind of muttered under his breath like, oh, he said like, oh, go fuck yourself or something. He said like 5 seconds later he had like 7 drill sergeants on top of him just ripping his head off.
Oh, and like I said, they all wanted to be Ari Ermley from Full Metal Jacket. As soon as every drill sergeant saw that, it was like every mobster wanted to be the Godfather when they saw that movie. Every drill sergeant wanted to be that guy. I mean, they were all that guy. And I'm like, I could barely deal with one of them in the movie. And now I got, because each one of them has 2 drill sergeants. You have a drill sergeant, and you have an assistant drill sergeant, but each one of the drill sergeants can fuck with you. Any drill sergeant from another platoon can come fuck with you. And they did. And like I said, in 1993, the next cycle, they had what was called stress cards. And in 1995, they could no longer put their hands on you. Yeah, that didn't last long. long. And I'm like, where's my stress card? I'm like, is the enemy going to take your stress card if you're out in the field? But yeah, that was the year after I graduated basic training. They passed Army regulations, and you were no longer allowed to touch a soldier in that manner. I missed that deadline because they beat the fuck out of me. I remember Joe Sergeant Washington, Dwayne Washington. I'll never forget this sadistic not asshole. Me and him actually got along because I chased him down when I got deployed. And these 2 people's lives, you never forget your names of Joe Sergeant. Joe Sergeant Washington, he was assistant Joe Sergeant. He was E6. And Joe Sergeant Mahoney, who I even told him this years later when I was deployed, I thought you were an absolute psychopath. I thought that there was something wrong with you, and we were going to find out that we survived you. That you had bodies buried out in the forest or something because you were sadistic and you were crazy, skinny, wiry looking guy. And he ended up retiring as a nice school teacher and everything else. And we talked 10 years later and joked about it. And he remembered me. They terrorized me. They terrorized me from sunup, and all of us. They terrorized us from sunup to if you didn't make your bed right. Fort Sill has these windows that barely open, right? They barely open, and they're this big. They're this big. They're just basically there for decoration, not for air. These fuckers, if your bed wasn't made right, you'd be down shining your boots. I don't know how they did it. They figured out a way to stuff the mattress through the window, and it's now down here in the courtyard. And everybody would be looking because all your sheets had your initials on them. Everybody like, oh, shit, is that my shit? If your boots that were left up there weren't shined, this crazy motherfucker would open up the windows, and all of a sudden there's boots flying out of there, and you scream airborne. Because you didn't want us to get hit by the boots. Thanks a lot. Yeah. And if they weren't shined, I mean, they had to be glass polished. I'm like, what the fuck for? We're just gonna fuck them up. But it was a discipline thing. He had to see his fucking future in him. He said, I want to see the future of the Army in your boots. I'm like, we can't do that. It was just a mind thing. Sometimes if he couldn't find any
war zone.
Yeah, if he couldn't find any that were substandard, he just picked one.
He picked nobody the least good polished one.
They would, fire guard, and you'd be terrified because fire guard was to keep you disciplined not to fall asleep on guard duty. And so these people didn't sleep ever. These fuckers never slept. And they would come in there with that goddamn whistle. And man, if you fell asleep on guard duty, you might as well just jump out the window because they were going to. You were going to have guard duty for the rest of your life. They were going to make it a point, But it was, and on the range, don't fuck around on the range. You aim a weapon the wrong way, they were authorized at that point to hit you. They wouldn't hit you. They could. They would drag you down by your thing. They would grab the muzzle of the weapon and they would toss you down because it was dangerous. They were trying to give you what's called muzzle discipline.
Were they still doing this when you went to basic training? Because my dad told me about the tear gas drill where they put you in the room with the tear without the mask on.
Yep.
Yeah. Because he told me about that where there's this one soldier. He was like a 19-year-old kid, and they're getting ready to do this drill. They have to manage the drill inside of a room with tear gas with no mask on, and this kid, he sees this going to happen and he out loud says, "Oh hell no," and he books it out the door back there. And they ran after him and pulled it back in.
They got separated. Failure to adapt. What's it?
Yeah.
All right, so here's what I did. This drill sergeant was fucking with me now, and now it became. I remember talking with him about this in 05, 06 when I'm like, I was determined. Who knows if I may have quit or not. I was determined when you guys told me that I wasn't going to make it 2 weeks. I'm like, I don't care if there's bones popping out of my fucking legs. I'm going to drag myself to this just so you have to hand me. You have to put that little ribbon on me or whatever. I forgot what it was. And so we went to the tear grass. They fed us because they were sadistic, so we could all throw up. But I thought that was a cute moment. So we were literally eating our MREs and shit in our field hots right outside. You can smell the CS gas. This is what they used it.
Yeah.
I went in, right? So I get through it. They said count to 3 and all this, and there's a bunch of people sitting in there. It's stinging like shit. You got to take your mask off. They ask you some questions. You get out of there. And he was him and Drill Sergeant Washington and Drill Sergeant Jones. I forget. Yeah. I'll never forget these crazy motherfuckers. They were waiting for me outside. And I'm like, I'm feeling good about myself. I got out. And listen, I'm not, everybody else is throwing up. You probably didn't do it right. That's why you got out. Why? What happened? How'd you get out of there so quick? And I'm like, I did everything I said you did. No, I didn't. I don't believe you. Just get out of my face. And I'm like, listen, goddammit. I'm tired of you guys. Every time I get something right, you guys are saying I can do it. So I said, you know what? I'm going to go in there again without the gas mask. I'm going to go in there and I'm going to stay twice as long without. You got 3 minutes. I stayed in 6 without that gas mask.
Wow.
They didn't fuck with me in the same manner after that.
That is.
After that, I stayed. I saw guys coming in, doing their shit and leaving, and I was determined. My nose was running. I was wanting to cough up everything in my body. After a while, I couldn't see because there was only so much in there. And then finally, they opened up the door. And they're like, you need to come on out of here. And I'm like, okay. And it was 6 months later. And they never fucked with me again. They never fucked with me again.
I'm gonna tell my dad that story. He'll love that story.
Yeah. And then when I got 38, when I got expert after being a complete fuck up in basic rifle, I couldn't hit shit. I couldn't hit nothing. I couldn't hit anything. But what ended up happening is a lieutenant colonel who was the battalion commander came down. And he got in the foxhole. It's Lieutenant Colonel Zacharel. I'll never forget that guy. He came down and he says, your problem is your grip. Take your LMB or your little suspender thing, put it behind here and put it as tight as you can. Put it as tight as you can so that round's not going to move and fly. And he did it, and I hit everything. You had to, in order to qualify and zero your weapon, you had to put a certain amount of rounds into a certain amount of circles, and they had to be able to draw the triangle. I did that, and then after he gave me that technique, I used that technique for the rest of my career in the Army. And after that, they left me alone, and then it was graduation time. There you go. We all did though. It wasn't just we all felt like we were getting picked on, but we were living it from our point of view. Trust me, they got bored with me and they fucked with somebody else. And we would be suffering together. Like, every time you said, the flutter kick. I don't know. So you guys are not going to know what a flutter kick is. If you ever watch Officer and a Gentleman and what's his face's character is doing the flutter kick, it's you're sitting this way and you're like sitting back this way. And your back can't touch the ground and your legs have to be up. And you have to do a flutter kick. So every time you do it, you have to do stupid cadence with it. And he's like, flutter kick. And it's a flutter kick, drill sergeant, flutter kick. And we'd have to do that crazy shit. And then it was called being smoked. That's what we got it. It was called. And so we have to do the mule kick. And so we'd have to get up and do the mule kicks. You have to jump as high as you can on both legs. I don't know why. I'm going to just bust 2 ankles and I got to, whatever. So the mule kick, drill sergeant, all this. Because I'm like, dude, these guys are crazy. But it was to the point where the discipline was embedded. And that's why you're the 1%. You understand once you go through that why 99% of the United States population will never, ever do this. We had guys that were star athletes coming in here that chaptered out because they couldn't take it. And it was failure to adapt the military lifestyle. That was the chart. Your old man will know that one because I'm pretty sure he's either had to put people out or he didn't make it his basic training people because you didn't start with everybody that you left with. Some of you were like,
he damn sure didn't have like the don't touch me card or whatever that's called.
No, we didn't have a stress card. We like I said, nobody wanted to be the pussy. Everybody, the chaplain would come down and say, everything okay? Is there anything I need to? Nobody wanted to be the pussy. We knew dude, Drill Sergeant Washington he had to replace the locker he slammed me into because he put me in. I literally almost folded into the locker. He hit me so far and they couldn't open the door. He swung me, and I have all my stuff. The rucksack, we have a rucksack in the front and a rucksack in the back because they wanted us to suffer. He dragged me up. And I remember we were in Bravo Battery 221, field artillery. Ugh. We were on the second floor on a really high staircase. He drags me, and under no power of my own, I end up. I was the first person in the barracks. He drags me in there. He swings me. I don't know how he was able to do this with one arm because he didn't use another arm the entire time. He swings me, and I backed in so hard into the thing, I didn't think I was going to be able to get out without help. And then I fell forward. That was day one. That was the day one. Those first 2 weeks, once you get past 2 weeks, because it takes 8 weeks to chapter you out. Because we would have guys, we call them broke dicks, because they would fake injuries. They would fake injuries so that they could go home. The problem is it took you so long to process. You're watching us graduate. You might as well just stick with it. You know, waking up in the morning. And it got to the point where I didn't even need to be woken up in the morning. We would all just get up because it was crazy, man. But all right, we got to get out of here.
So we've spent like the last third of the show talking about military stories.
Tomorrow night, guys, I will get the thumbnail together for the Batman. We'll start off with the Batman at 7. Brad will run that until he hits the in-stream button, and then that'll be it. And then right after the Batman, we're going to watch the season finale of one of the best shows in a long time, which is The Penguin. And I hope the ending, they stick the ending. I have a feeling that if it's consistent with everything that we've been watching so far, that this show is going to wrap up tight. And then,
I think so too.
So, all right, that is it. Thank you for all of us. Don't do it. I will shut this show off in a heartbeat.
What you don't? Our words, our brand now. Come on.
No, that is not our brand. Thank you for everybody who has been with us today. As those of you who got a chance to watch Predator 2 last night and Prey the other night. Hopefully you've had a lot of fun. Hopefully I've done what I set out to do, which was to provide you an escape from anything you're going to, not just politics, anything right now. That straight line of whatever it is, depression, exhaustion, whatever it is. I hope I put a kink in that line and for at least 3 hours or 5 hours, if you include the watch along, you were at some peace today, because that's what I'm here for. I get messages all the time telling me that that's the case, that my Kermit the Frog voice breaks up a lot of bad things, and that's good. That's all it needs to do. So until tomorrow night, 7 p.m.
Tomorrow, absolute try.
Hey, you know what, Vince? We can actually ban that word. All right, I'll work on that.
We're not going to.
All right.
Come on.
See you guys later. Bye.
There you go.